Welcome to the EST Hangout.
This is the EST Hangout, and today's guests are...
A very happy Wednesday morning to you. Welcome to the EST Hangout presented by Two Hoots Hard Iced Tea, a Boulder Real Brew Tea. Don't just give a hoot, give two. Matt Iwanyk with you here on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Tune in iHeartRadio as well as those watching on YouTube. This is a hangout I'm very, very excited for. We will get to the Oilers. We will talk Oilers. But I've got Lieutenant Eric. I've got Redbeard Scott Laurie with me here. He's in his Scottish kit. I'm in my Italian kit. Eric forgot his kit.
I got a new hat, though.
Which is associated to football, CFL football, but not the football we'll be discussing today. As on Friday, 1 o'clock, these two gentlemen are going at it. Germany, Scotland. It kicks off the Euros. And then next Thursday, Canada, Argentina in Atlanta. I will be there. It kicks off the Copa America tournament, and we have two major soccer tournaments going at the exact same time. 7, 10, 1, 4, 6, I think is how it breaks down.
I love it.
For the game times.
Yeah,
or something
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. I think
So
that's
good.
I said there's a meme on the internet right now that just goes with like the circle of the day, and it's just Euros,
Oh my
Euros, Euros,
God.
Copa, Copa, Euros, 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 Copa, Copa, with a little bit of sleep in there.
That's called party time with a little sleep in there.
There's no better time to be unemployed.
Oh, my goodness. You're right. Summer of Scott here, hey? Like,
Yeah, for sure.
That's what we're going to get to on the show today. We also have a $100,000 hole-in-one qualifying opportunity presented by Golf Town. VIP table qualifying opportunity for Kevin Hart on July 13th at the Great Outdoors Comedy Festival. Alley Cat, the official beer, the Great Outdoors Comedy Festival here in Edmonton. We're giving that one away on Friday this week. So lots to get to. And we will get to the soccer, but quickly... Scott's here, and he's a big Oiler fan. So, and it is the city of Edmonton. It's the day before Game 3. The series has shifted to Edmonton. Let's get to Hangout headlines. Brought to you by the Ranch Golf and Country Club, offering premier conditions, top-notch service, unmatched value. The Ranch is the place you want to be for golf this season. Book your tee time visiting theranchgolf.com. How you feeling?
Yeah.
Are you confident still? Is it? You think it's over?
No,
Where
it's
are you
definitely not over. Definitely not over.
haven't lost at home yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
You got to lose at home. You know, I think they really do need to win, obviously, tomorrow. If they play like they played in Game 1, they probably win that game. They probably win, they could win Game 3. If they play like the first 40 minutes of Game 2, they got a good shot again. It was a coin flip going into the third, and Bouchard got tired and made a mental mistake, and the game was over. Again, you got to lose at home, and I don't think they've played their best. Florida's really good, though.
Things happened early in that game, though. The Fogle thing.
Yeah.
And then you're playing, as you mentioned,
Yeah.
Bouchard tired. There's all.
Yeah.
So maybe if those things don't happen too, you could say, all right, they'll have a chance to dress the lineup tonight. You know, a full lineup, and
I don't think it's doom and gloom. I think anyone that kind of thought like Florida's really good. They were there last year. They're back again this year. You saw them kind of take care. The Rangers were a good team, and they kind of took care of them. So yeah, I think Florida's good, but the Oilers are certainly not out of it. I think the crowd's going to shock Florida. I mean, I was lucky enough to go to one of the games with my son, and it was it's like a rock concert. Like his ears were buzzing after the game. It was amazing, and I don't think Florida as a team knows what they're getting into yet. Kachuk will be able to tell them a bit. He'll be able to prepare them. He's seen that building, but you watch it on TV, and the crowd in Florida looks great to start with. Mm-hmm. They're loud. They're doing some chants, but you can tell there's a huge lulls in the crowd. It's crazy. So, and that just didn't happen and won't happen tomorrow night here in Edmonton. So, I think the crowd can be a factor.
Well, it's going to be a major factor, I would think.
there will be a shock value too.
Yeah. Now, if you're Paul Maurice and you're that team, your goal is to try to get that early goal.
Yeah.
And then
You
quiet
survived
the
that
crowd
shock
down.
then.
You survive that. You weather that early storm. Because I've seen in the playoffs this year, Rogers Place get all of a sudden nervous and scared, and it could get quieter very quick. You come out if you're Florida, you that's what you're goaling. It's like go get that first goal, and all of a sudden the thing will be quiet, and then you could get back to just focus fully on your game. And the crowd's been taken out of this, but like we haven't had that Connor McDavid FU game yet. And that's what we're waiting for.
He was trying hard, but nobody else.
At the start of the third period,
Yeah,
he was scooting around behind the net, and he was doing those crossovers that just I can't skate at all.
3 of the 6 shots from the forward group registered from him. He was dragging and trying, but it just not enough.
Yeah. I think Bouchard playing that many minutes would just hurt the entire team in terms of he's not able to get up into the rush and do the offensive stuff that he can do, and then he makes the defensive errors that mentally he's just not there yet to play that kind of minutes in the playoffs.
And a lot of people want to point out, and look, the ultimate result wasn't great in the end, but the Oilers in 06 got down 2-0. They forced the game 7. Yeah. And that like, I think Oilers fans right now would take a game 7.
And to go 2-0
you
down,
never know what happens in a game 7.
But on the road. Like
same series in 06.
I know, but I'm saying you start on the road. It's better than dropping the first 2 at home and then having to go on the road. I mean, you have home cooking now, so take advantage of it.
I've always liked starting a series on the road.
Love it. Yep, absolutely.
Because, like, what you're trying to do is split, but if you don't, it's, we haven't played at home yet. Yeah. And you got to come home with that attitude.
There's a mental refresher that you can use,
And I wonder if, like Connor said it, I think after game 2, just, we're expecting everyone to not bet on us or something. Like, they feed off.
Their post games, everybody post game 2 were actually, you could tell that they were almost like, this was like, oh, good, another challenge.
Yeah, there was no panic in them.
Oh, no.
Like, this is where that rough start to begin the year could have laid some groundwork for this adversity. And I'm sure they can bounce back.
Carolina tap, right?
Exactly.
Down at the bench.
The moment. That's a heritage moment. If they ever come through this, that's one of those heritage moments.
Oh, yeah.
The bumping of each other.
We're still in this together type thing. They're not out of it. They're definitely not. When you have McDavid and you have Draisaitl, you're not out of it at all. They're too good. And Bobrovsky in the past has slipped. He's been really, really good. The one goal has been a bad goal. So, I mean, that shows you can get it past them. If we came out of there with 2 shutouts,
that's
again, then it gets even more
in your head too.
You also can't tell me a team with McDavid and Draisaitl is going to be limited to 1 goal in the next 2 games.
No,
I just find that hard to believe. And then there's also the matchup lineup. Like, now it's Chris Knobloch gets that little extra. He gets to take the advantage as a coach and see if he could put the right lines that he wants out there and take advantage and find a few more goals for the Oilers. And if as much as the Panthers want to get that first goal to quiet the place down, the Oilers, if they get that first goal, just how much that place is going to erupt.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And that's going to send nerves, I think, down the Florida Panthers.
Yeah. And those other forwards, they've seen the reports. They know the stats of no shots. Like they know that. They see that. They're talking about it themselves. They're all A-type personality. They're gonna be like, that's not gonna happen again. I'm not gonna let that kind of stuff happen again. So I think it's gonna be a good game. I think it's gonna be.
We call it a must-win tomorrow, though. Now.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
It's they're not coming back 3-0.
No.
Again, not technically out of it, but you have to.
You can't disrespect that. To me, that'd be just full disrespect. To Florida,
would
they're not going to get 1 win out of 4.
I mean, I'd wager the next 2 almost are. If Florida splits here, they go home with the chance of wrapping things up on home ice. That is a daunting prospect as well. I mean, yes, you have. Yeah, you got to win them all. You can't, but.
You definitely want to come back 2-2 back to Florida. You can,
Absolutely.
Although in 06 it was 3-1 as well.
Was it?
Yeah, because they won
and
game
that's
5.
Fine too.
The Pisani goal was game 5 out in Carolina. Came back to game 6 and they won. So
less than ideal,
but again, you don't want this to all be 06 because if we keep going full similarity to 06, it means it's ultimate disappointment in the end.
You don't want to find out the answer.
So you want it to be a little different than 06.
And remembering 06, and I could be just like a bit of revisionist, memories here, but I don't remember Carolina being the powerhouse that Florida is.
No,
and Florida to me is they're better, I think.
President's Trophies 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Cup finalists last year.
That's the one
back to the Cup again this year. They're battle tested.
Yeah.
And we talked about the Oilers too, getting into the conference finals this year, in which they were swept by the Avalanche and walking before you run. Well, they've now learned that lesson. Do they have to take another year to learn this one? Fans don't want to hear it, but you are seeing a bit of that Panthers from last year creep into this squad. The attrition battle, the just running on E, so close to the finish line, but just not knowing what it takes to kind of get.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's just what you need to do as teams to get over that hump. And in the end, no matter what, they are Cup finalists. And in the end, no matter what, worst case, 3 straight years they only lost to the Stanley Cup Finals. Or champions.
Starting the season where they did.
Like
those are all.
There's a lot of good to still look back on this season if it ultimately ends poorly. In terms of this series, poorly.
Yeah.
But still, 30 other teams would love this spot.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Even if they're down 2-0, they would still love to be still in the Cup final with the chance
going home.
Going home.
Yeah. You ask anyone on the Oilers, will you take this? Every time they're saying yes.
Yeah.
And that the post game from everybody in front of them, Mike, following game 2 was highly encouraging, I think.
Yeah.
And I think this extra day off helps the Oilers. Mm-hmm. I don't think you want to get back out there right away. I think just to settle things, get home, an extra night in bed, cut loose for maybe a day, like in terms of blocking everything out, watch maybe that TV show that you've been delayed on.
Maybe
or
a fire
something.
alarm is pulled at a hotel. They do that in soccer, but I don't know if I don't condone behavior like that. But
Book, all the away supporters, booking the hotel across
fireworks,
the street.
fireworks downtown. Yeah.
That was a thing in 06 here.
Fire alarm?
I don't think it was fire alarm. I think it was like trying to call rooms or
I
something.
like that stuff. I'm not gonna I don't encourage things, but I like that stuff.
Also, the Panthers have got to be staying at the JW Marriott. I don't know where else they would be staying. I don't know how soundproof those rooms are. But get a group of people together and go to Ice District and just make a bunch of noise at 2 in the morning.
Why not?
Yeah.
Set off a couple
Somebody tells you to leave.
flares.
Yeah.
See what happens.
See what happens. What is it? Ask for apology or ask for forgiveness, right?
If the police come, you just Panthers are staying here.
And
you have, I'm going to say it's probably a 50-50 chance to
depends on
wrap it up soon. And then we didn't see you and walk away. You know, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Take care of the home advantage.
That's home advantage. Exactly. Yeah.
It's do any of the housekeepers or anything do something like when teams go to CONCACAF, when they go to Jamaica or the Hondurases of the world, and all of a sudden their bags are missing and the elevator's not working.
Bennett doesn't have a chocolate on his pillow.
That's what that's what J-Dub should do.
Sorry.
The elevators aren't working.
Yeah.
Sorry, they're down. You're gonna have to take the stairs up and down. Sorry, we're getting someone to work on it, but it's just
they're on their way.
Have you seen that rain out there? They're just struggling to get here. Just don't worry. Just take the stairs.
All the bed sheets are untucked when they get to the rooms. It's just terrible.
The batteries in the remote are reversed.
Yes.
So they're clicking.
Can't get it.
Death by 1,000 pranks.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of different things.
Fridges are all off.
Turn the hot water off or turn it down. So it's only lukewarm. It only gets to lukewarm.
Yeah, exactly.
So they think it's warming up. Come on, Edmonton.
Let's do it.
Let's get going.
Pull out all the stops.
So do the Oilers split or take both or lose these next two at home? I'll put you on the spot there, Scott.
I think they definitely win game 3. I think I'm gonna be positive here and say they take both.
Like it.
I definitely think
That's
I think they
positivity.
take game 3 for sure. But yeah, I want to say they take both.
GCLD's Oil Stream pregame show tomorrow, 4:30, right here on Edmonton Sports Talk, is Tommy, YTT, and Cass. They will get you set for Game 3 of the Oilers. They practice at 11 o'clock today, so we have no news to talk about when it comes to the Edmonton Oilers. So what better time to transition to why we are here? And let's start with, we'll get to Canada. We'll end with Copa. We'll get to that last because Euro starts first. Mm-hmm. The big competition, 24 European nations coming together in Germany as we get set for another edition of the Euros. The Italians are the defending champs, but not going to be the favorites coming into this one. It kicks off Friday, 1 o'clock, as Germany takes on Scotland. How you guys feeling about that opening match? We'll just start with that. As Germany takes on Scotland, Scotland takes on Germany. Do you like that opening to start with Scotland?
Yeah, well, and when you're hosting, it's always a little more fun, and you can kind of throw, I think you have to throw most of the reports out the window kind of when you host because there is a bit of magic to it, and who knows, storylines and everything involved. And Germany does have a decent squad. I will take this time to offer you an invite to the German Cultural Concordia Club here if you would like to watch the game out in the southeast side of the city. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I know you guys, and again, your manager, Clark, you've had some success in these tournaments over the years. However, a little injury scare already early in the week. Yep. But I think this is a good one to kick off. I'm not too up to date on necessarily. I have my winners for each group and the two teams coming out of it. But I'm not so sure what you're looking at in terms of success rate in this tournament or how far you think you should go. But Germany, I'm getting more bullish on them as the days go by and reading more reports out of the camp. It seems like Nagelsmann, I've never been a big believer in him.
No.
Club level.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't. He's a young guy, and he's kind of not. He's
36.
I know, up and down wherever he's went. This though could have. He's coaxed Tony Kroos back, international retirement. So this could be a thing that springboards him and do another job or something like that. And again, Germany at home.
But he's locked in until 26 World Cup.
And that's fine.
Right?
And that's fine. But things can happen. I'm just saying this is a tournament where you can really kind of, get your reputation back or your reputation falls or whatever. So I like the romanticism involving Germany around this tournament, but as far as this first game, I told you off air, I could see Germany winning the whole thing. I could also see them not making it out of the group.
Yeah.
And I think, these opener games and a tournament you're hosting, the nerves could be there as well.
We said the exact same thing
with a young manager.
Yeah, like I've got Germany. I've got Germany winning it all.
Yeah,
that's. But I think there's no better time for Scotland to have Germany.
Sure.
Game 1, open the tournament. There's going to be nerves. There's going to be a lot of excitement. There's going to be a lot of pressure on Germany. I think this is Scotland's best team maybe not individual stars. Like when we go back to some of the individuals, Ali McCoist and some of those guys that played for Scotland back in the day, this is their best team, I would say. Clark's been very good.
Yeah.
I think for me, I think Scotland's right
Hey,
to.
sorry to interrupt. Are you actually making a prediction for this event, or is it just one of the teams going to win the tournament?
A European team's going
We'll
to win.
see. Just curious.
I've submitted a pool prediction thing, so
So you have made predictions.
this is different. No one cares about soccer. Soccer doesn't matter. Soccer doesn't matter.
None of this
Soccer
matters.
doesn't matter.
Nobody
None of
cares
this matters to you guys. Nothing matters to you guys. Soccer doesn't matter, so it don't matter. Don't care.
Scotland.
Scotland.
Yeah, you interrupt Scott's big conversation.
That's okay. I'm here for it. Again, I think this is the perfect time to have Germany. I think Scotland gets through. I think they get through in the group. I think there's a real chance for them to actually. I've got them facing England down the road here in the quarters, which I think that's probably
Give
as
it to
far
me.
as we go.
But I'd take that matchup.
I'd love. I think the Tartan Army plays a factor in Germany. I mean, to be in that stadium in Germany with the Tartan Army in full force. I think they can drag the team through the other games against Hungary.
And in terms of Clark and the managerial role, more experience on the stage than an Egglesman, in a sense. I know at club level he's had his times, but I mean,
this is
you
his
don't
team.
see
This
those
is
club
his team,
guys
though,
come to international too often, and they don't do that because they're too good for international. And that's where I believe in Nagelsmann, that him coming here, it's like he's going to be able to build what he needs from the and he also knows some of those German players.
he might.
Because Germany is Bayern Munich for a large.
But game one, when you're hosting a tournament, his age and given his I guess lack of experience, to put it mildly, and Clark.
It's his team.
You've had 3 tournaments with him now?
Yeah, this is his.
So I could see in this, as you're saying, this first game of the tournament, maybe Clark's wiliness and his experience maybe trumps Nagelsmann.
Yeah.
All the good things that he brings to the table, but game one, at home, pressure's on, and
I mean, we're
1-0.
definitely the underdog.
I understand that. It's a great underdog position to be in.
It's the best spot to, if we have to play Germany. This is the best spot to play them.
Yeah,
get it over.
We
with
talked about this with Canada as well.
We've done it with
get
Canada,
rolling.
Belgium at the World Cup, and even Canada, Argentina at Copa America. Group A: Germany, Hungary, Scotland, Switzerland. Top 2 guaranteed make it through to the knockout stage of the Euros.
Can I ask, is there any of that wild card third spot?
4 of the top 6 third place teams then make it as well. Which
makes brackets funny. And
it makes brackets funny. It makes it weird. But also, it's one where, like, I remember when Portugal won, they were awful through the group.
Yeah.
Got an easy
Good side, yeah.
They went to the final and they won. Italy was a top team when they came out last time, because I think this is the 3rd edition of 24. I do feel 24 teams makes it a better competition. I think there's a lot of talent in Europe that we actually get good soccer start to finish. There's not any real bad games. But we then do get these third place teams that move on, which I think might benefit Italy this year, because they're in a tough group. But it's one of those, we've got 4 of the top 6 third places do move on. So we're back to that.
And that would go to, I guess, goal differential next, or that type of, in determining those points.
So it starts with points, who's accumulated the most points, and then it would be goal differential.
Goal differential. Yeah, I mean, that's some of those groups, obviously, you can kind of pick 2. But there's a lot of, even Group A. I mean, I'm very high on Hungary.
Yeah,
they the qualifying, they're flawless. I think they have a manager, Italian manager. I do
there's
believe.
a lot of Italian managers in this.
Oh, yeah.
I was going through all the teams and looking at, and there's just a constant. There's like 4 or 5 different Italian managers managing different clubs.
But Group A, I could see the 3. I could see 3 getting out of that one.
Yeah,
Even Switzerland. I mean, no offense to them either, but they've always find their way around these tournaments.
I have Hungary dropping a little bit on this, and I have Switzerland, Scotland, Germany, I think, coming out of it.
Okay.
But Hungary, it was, I think, the last Euros, they were in with France, Germany, and Portugal.
Yeah.
That was the Euros. And they were great.
Yeah.
They just didn't win a match.
Yeah.
But they led, I think, more minutes than anyone else in that tournament.
Young
and they
talent.
just always blew it at the end. And Steve Sandor he's the Mr. Hungarian, and he is.
Well, he must have been on.
He was
fire,
like, having like a great time, but also that they got eliminated. So for them to be in this group, though, to get Germany again, to get Scotland, they're not going to be scared.
No,
and the qualifying was
really
spot on.
strong.
Yeah.
Well, that's the crazy thing about the Euro. None of these, like you said, none of these teams are bad. There's no like throwaway team in any of these groups. There's 1 or 2 like Albania is gonna have a hard time probably. There's some of those teams that they're gonna struggle a bit, but no one's terrible. They've all got systems. They all play together. A lot of these smaller countries they put on that shirt. And the pride factor, goes through the roof.
Absolutely.
And it's a different level. It's different than playing club level. You see the even good players play better in these tournaments. There's a lot of young players. I was kind of doing a bit of stuff yesterday, and the amount of young guys. There's always one or two young guys that you've never heard of that go, where is that guy playing? And then you kind of track him, and he gets down the ride, and then next World Cup, they're ready to roll. Like it's an amazing tournament.
Even like a country like Georgia, whom I am not picking to get out of really anywhere. I mean, prove me wrong.
Yeah.
And again, it could be an Iceland thing or whatever, but they have that guy from Napoli. Starts with a KV. It's like a 25-letter long name. I can't pronounce it, but extremely great young talent, lighting it up for Napoli. Already rumors with Real Madrid. Turkey as well, Arda Güler. Like, even on those lesser than nations, I guess you can say in air quotes, there's like individual talent sprinkled throughout, which you can really, as a neutral, watch and be amazed. And
well, then some of them, they just want to make that transfer this year too. Yeah. And this is the moment where
showcase.
They could showcase themselves. They have a great tournament, even if it's just through 3 games. All of a sudden, they might be cashing in on that.
You've seen it so many times, right?
Yeah. And it matters to these guys, the countries. I remember when North Macedonia first got in, I think 2024, and they scored a goal. Yeah. And that one goal just made their entire tournament, made their country. So those teams could be sometimes then also scary, is that they know they're probably going to lose. So they just will go out and do whatever they can. And because they know, if we go 0-3.
You're here. That's the party.
We got here.
Everything else is just extra. And I think Serbia, this is their first time outside of former Yugoslavia that they're in this kind of mix as their own.
Yeah, I think, I think the Yugoslavia team was mostly Serbians too.
Yeah, but I think Serbia's been in the World Cup, but not the Euro.
Yes. I think it's 2002 or something like that.
And the only match too that's going to be sold with lesser alcohol content will be the England-Serbia one, is which I'm reading right. The only group stage tournament throughout this. The only one they'll be served with like lesser than alcohol percentage, like the near beer or half beer, will be the Serbia-England. Very concerned about.
Oh, they don't want that.
They don't want that one.
Bubbling over.
I love that England just has this rep of not doing things.
It's got to be them all the time.
Doing terrible things.
Has to be, for sure.
McTominay too for Scotland. He's great with Scotland.
Yeah,
he's fine with United. He often when he's in an attacking position, actually somehow scores big goals for United. But for the most part, he's not the guy you want to see in the lineup starting 11 if you're a Manchester United fan. Nope. But in Scotland, he has a role.
He does for sure,
and he's great.
He really pulled us through. Like you said, scoring big goals, and he's for Scotland. He's a big moment guy. You know, like he just always shows up in those moments that, and that Scotland's gonna have trouble scoring. Like that's our.
Ben Doak.
No Ben Doak. No, I mean hopefully Shanklin. I mean Shanklin, I think could score some goals here. He's big. He scores goals in the league, but McTominay's been phenomenal. Robbo injury kind of scares me a little bit.
Will you have cover there? I mean, he's not the player he once was either physically, but he is your captain and all that. And emotional leader.
You'd like to have him in your roster.
Yeah.
I mean, but back end's not our weak point. I think there's some guys that can run up and down the sideline there for him. But
I was reading though too on Clark, and he told McTominay, and I think this was like a season or two, like play more with a smile on your face and just enjoy playing. And I guess that's somewhat unlocked him, at least for national. I know you're more familiar with the club level, but the Clark factor again, and just kind of, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like just go out there and have fun. And then your talent will follow that.
And he's been phenomenal for us. Really, really pulled us through. And hopefully it continues. I think he's a great player.
Do you have a plan for this one? Where you watch?
I don't yet. I don't
Leave the invitation. I know you don't want to be around a bunch of Germans and eating sauerkraut and all that. But well, you can come. There's always somebody from the opposition. That they'll come in.
Put the kilt on and jerseys.
We'll pipe you in.
Perfect.
It's just like when I was at Central Casino for the Elks postgame show last week. Somebody had a Panthers jersey on. They came with their Kachuk Panthers jersey.
Why not?
Like, wow. Like, credit to you.
Start a conversation, right?
So it got booed completely. But hey, sometimes going to
that's the fun.
It is territory. It's awesome.
That's the best part is especially here. You can get together with rival countries and have a laugh and have a drink and share.
Canada and U.S. because we're multicultural.
Yeah,
we're not.
Oh, you go to a random bar, and it's just flags from everywhere.
That's like all growing up, and especially when I think what helped Canada too was the fact that Canada wasn't good for so long.
Yeah,
you then really found your nation that was yours, and you followed them, and that brought you back to your homeland or whatever. And for me, Italy and Ukraine, those were the ones you followed. So now it's like, I'll still always have those two, but now Canada's there, which is awesome. But we all have that connection in some way, whether from there or just through grandparents or parents, and it's just. So it makes these tournaments.
All three of my lineages, Germany, Ukraine, and Romania, taking part in this tournament.
You're Romanian?
So I'm all, there's a bit of that.
Sweet.
Romania and Ukraine.
I don't know that one. Okay, so Group A. Top 2 teams to come out.
Top 2?
Yeah.
With a third perhaps on a chance
I'm going to
of
leave
getting
third
through.
for now.
Yeah, I get that. I'm going to say Hungary and Germany in no particular order.
Okay.
Not saying I'm not saying
what
my
do you
first
have?
isn't topping
I
the
got
group
Germany,
necessarily,
Scotland.
Germany, Scotland. I think I have Germany, Switzerland. I think Switzerland, even though they weren't playing, they're not playing the
but
best.
You never know about them though. They're always.
They could, and maybe that's just they got Italy a couple times in World Cup qualifying.
You've been bitten
Maybe
a couple
I'm
of
bitten by
times.
them a little bit. That I'm overrating them when it comes to this. But that I think there's going to see some great games, some great matchups. So Germany, Scotland, 1:00 on Friday, and then there's the lone game from that group on Saturday, which is Hungary, Switzerland. And then it progresses. 19th, 2 matches. 23rd is the final matches. That's Group A. Group B is the group of death.
For sure it is.
Spain, Albania, Croatia, Italy. Starts with Spain and Croatia. Italy, Albania take on each other. Spain is, to me, the team that I think is the strongest in all of this. Croatia is like they've been to Final Four last World Cup, finalists 2 World Cups ago, crashed though in between in the Euros of 2020.
Yeah.
They are still getting older. And
Luka Modric is 65 years
well, that's
old.
the thing. Like at some point, the age is going to fully catch them. I still like them to be decent in this, but Spain, I just think is too strong.
I agree. Spain is the team that should come away with this group, I think. But Croatia's always tough.
Then that's where that opening match, Spain-Croatia,
Yeah.
I think almost will dictate who wins.
And you mentioned
if somebody
their-
could win
yeah.
that match, I think they're taking the group.
And their prior success, maybe that wiliness gets them through. You
For
know what I'm saying?
Croatia?
For Croatia.
Yeah.
Maybe being there and doing that so many times, you have that experience. But Spain, I'll agree with you guys. And a guy like Rodri, who's caused me a lot of pain in the Premier League, whenever you can kind of center an 11 around a guy like him in his prime, you're cooking. And then you just got to fill in the blanks around that. I love Spain in this group.
Me too.
Group of death, hey?
Easily.
Okay.
Because even Albania, I don't think is
not a pushover, but
I'm not going to sit here and pick Albania.
Yeah.
They did finish top of their group to qualify for the Euros. They beat out Czech Republic, Poland, Moldova, and Faroe Islands. So not exactly the toughest group, but Czech Republic and Poland. You know,
Absolutely,
Lewandowski's
yeah.
part of Poland. 4-3-1 in that. So they only lost 1 match. And again, it's one of those. It's like Hungary, the last Euros with France, Germany, and Portugal.
Yes.
You get to go in and okay, everyone's thinking you're 4th.
Yeah.
The pressure's on the other 3
In a
nations
group
when
of
you go up
death,
against
albeit,
them.
too.
Yeah.
So then you're even more carefree.
Everyone's thinking 0-3.
Yeah.
You're going to have 3 losses in this. So you got to just go out and just do whatever you can, put the full pressure on. Who cares? You lose 4-0. No one's going to be upset.
Well, you
You're in
lose
the
to
group of
Spain.
death.
Lose to Spain, you could get a result against Croatia. We're talking, or Italy, who you say too, or
which
I
is
mean,
at Italy. That first match against Albania is crucial.
Yeah.
Because I think Italy is looking at probably being a third.
Yep.
And if you drop points to Albania, I don't know if you're going to get out through third. You might crash
and if
out through the
Albania in
group
that first match
stage.
get a result against Italy,
Exactly.
think of how tall they're going to grow.
Then
I mean,
Albania shoots straight
Holy
up.
hell!
Like, I mean,
yeah.
they're going to be even harder to
You
beat.
get a draw on that one.
I'd be
That's-
to open the tournament.
terrified.
That's really that first match there is really that kind of third place match in my mind. Like it really is.
It's so funny. You get 3 in the group stage guaranteed, but that first one that determines the tournament.
100%.
Well, it's just because of what you have to do later.
Yeah, absolutely,
It's the reverse of Scotland with Germany. Italy gets the worst team of the group to start. So all the pressure's on that
All
first
the
game
pressure's on
because if
Italy.
you don't, what's next? Well, you got Spain and Croatia.
Yeah.
And now you have to go pick up points. You have to go get a victory somehow against 2 very difficult nations.
Mm-hmm.
And with Italy, new manager with Mancini leaving. But, like, we don't have scorers. We don't have real top-end scoring talent. And that concerns the hell out of me with Italy because last Euros, actually, they were a scoring machine to start. They were amazing. Everyone was like, wow, is this a new Italy under Mancini? But there was a nice connection on the left side with Spinazzola and Lorenzo Insigne. They had some sort of magic between them, chemistry.
You find a combo
that
in it.
opened
Yeah.
it up, and it just they scored goals. And then in Belgium match, Spinazzola got hurt with an Achilles, and they did not look the same offensively against Spain or England. They found a way to win. Somehow Italy sometimes find a way to win, but it just they didn't have any offensive firepower. And since then, Spinazzola has not been back to the national team. He's not been called up, and I just don't think that they have. They've Redigui, and he was an Argentinian who has lineage to Sicily, so they grabbed him. He could score some goals. But there's just not that high end. Even Chiesa, who scored some big goals last year, Juventus is trying to sell him off right now.
So it could be a big. We mentioned dress rehearsals, showcasing. If he wants if Juventus are trying to go and they want to cash out, I mean, this is a time for him to kind of express him. But I could see Italy, and you mentioned they qualify in the third spot with a 0 goal differential. Like you go through with
1-1-1 or 3 draws,
whatever on the record, but like no goals.
Oh, I think
or your differential.
Yeah, no, I think
just
so.
because of, as you're saying, there's no attacking. You get through somehow by the skin of your teeth,
so.
but a goal differential of 0, which is very encouraging. But
actually, honestly, I'm thinking maybe a +1 if I'm lucky.
I'll be generous,
because Albania, they
they
win like 2-0 against Albania.
Sure.
They lose to Spain 1-0, and then Croatia they draw 0-0, and it's like, okay, we +1.
Let's go.
You're going through. Yeah, doesn't matter how.
As much as I don't like the third place this year, I'm all
You're all
third
about
place.
it. Portugal.
1, 2, 3, who cares?
Yeah.
And it's just they're defending champs, but like there's no real confidence that I think a lot of people have with the Italians. Now, going to the last Euros, no one was expecting them to go win it. And they came out and they ran and they took the championship. Spalletti, though, is their new manager. He won with Napoli. He broke their drought.
Oh, yeah.
So a solid manager that they have running them. He's had some time to install his systems into this. But yeah, I'm deeply afraid of Italy just because of the group. It's
it could go any way, and if the way I have it is Italy going through on the third place spot, no one's going to want to play them in that, as them coming
when it
through
gets
in
into the
spot.
knockout. No, I don't want any part of Italy. Not a chance.
Any part of them. Doesn't matter if they have a net 0.
Nope.
Coming through
That's
the
the
group.
worst thing.
they could just they'll find that way to
take it depends.
That's
take it depends, or they'll get that one greasy goal in extra time. That's going to also punch them through. And also they knocked out France out of nowhere.
Absolutely.
And no one's like, what happened there? And it's just, that's what the Italians do.
You know what's
they
going to happen.
crash and burn in the group stage, or they'll come out and they'll do a little bit of damage to someone.
Nobody will want to touch them.
That's it's going to be a fun group.
That'll be a fun group.
Also, Olmo from Spain.
Danny Olmo.
I love him.
Yeah.
He is scary. And going back to when Spain took on Italy in those Euros, he was just pelting the net with shots, and he's a good talent. And
a good man up top. Yeah. And speaking as a German too, and watching what Fernando Torres did in the final in 2008, Spain too, usually great teams, but having that one guy up top for them, that's the difference between success and failure in these tournaments for them, especially in that Olmo, real good player in Europe.
Yeah, they're so deep, like they're so deep at almost every position and they play. I mean, they play a great style. I mean, they're fun to watch. I think they could win it.
Sure.
They're good enough to go
Handful
all the way.
of the teams
it's just loaded with talent on this, and they're semifinalists of the Euros. What happened at the World Cup? Don't remember what happened to them at the World Cup. 2022 World Cup. And then there's still always just going to be crazy. When you have Modric, I don't care that he's 65.
No, I know, but
he still is
just won
Modric.
Champions League,
and you never know.
Well,
And
I think Canada learned that lesson, right?
nobody's effing Croatia this time around, baby.
Also telling Croatia to we're going to F them or whatever it is.
Where were you?
They lost to Morocco in pens at the last World Cup.
Morocco had a bit of Cinderella story too.
Hey, well, and that actually played nice for Canada because 2 of their group members went to the Final Four. So Croatia and Morocco both got to the Final Four. So the fact that Canada flamed out,
beaten by the best,
it was also beaten by, just like the Oilers have been beaten by the best in the last couple of years. Okay, so Fred Papernick is in the nasty chat.
Freddie P.
You know what I realized afterwards? He texted me. He's like, "I'll be listening to Soccer Talk."
Oh yeah.
It was one. I should have brought Fred in when I was thinking about a fourth.
Fred, wherever you are, if you got time, another hour left, join us for the final 10.
Okay, so he's got Spain, Croatia, Italy. Italy getting out of the group in third. Is that how you guys kind of looking at it?
I'll go Spain. Spain top. I really want to pick Albania. But maybe
as a second?
Why not? I know something's going to happen.
They're not catching Croatia and Italy.
We've just went over these tricky results with 3 games can happen, especially with Italy. You get a draw, okay, whatever, first game. Now they go on. Maybe they get another draw, and maybe things happen in the other games. But I think I will save my. And sorry, Scott, I am boring.
No, good.
You have excellent penmanship that I can read from afar. I got pretty good eyes, but I'm good right here. Spain and Croatia. Yeah, I'll go Spain and Croatia. It's based off prior what we know, and but I'm very tempted to go a little wild
There's
here.
no combination in that group. When I was doing some stuff last night, like I was the same way. Like it could be a
it's a group of
shocking
death,
group,
right?
You want to know what shock?
A couple of draws.
Italy goes in first.
Okay, well,
You
sure.
know, like that would be the shock to me, I think, a
Yeah.
little bit, where all of a sudden Italy finds a way to, well, they beat Albania, they draw Spain, they take down Croatia.
We all have
of a
Spain
sudden they
getting through.
We all have Spain.
I
getting
think
through.
so.
Okay.
I have it. I have it the exact same: Spain, Croatia, Italy.
But I think we could all make a case for the other three to kind of, in a sense. Albania, I get
think
it, but-
Albania, as Baggio says in the nasty chat or in the Paris Rules inbox 780-218-9999, it'll be a typical Italian thing to do: tie Albania, and I could see that Albania that being the big thing.
And
that
and
on
then
Saturday they come
beating
out,
Spain.
they get the draw.
Like it'd be something like.
but I
if they
think that will be
start-
them happy.
Yeah.
I think if
It
they
could.
draw Italy, it'll be like.
But also, if you
there's the
start that
tournament.
way, you mentioned that first game.
Yeah.
That could propel you on to dreaming bigger. Who knows? And with nothing to lose.
No, and you look at Albania. I could never pronounce his name, but you know he was playing. He's plays for Atalanta, the Europa champs. So
Yeah.
they've got some players that have won some stuff at the club stage, which could again that kind of stuff can help you get.
And just
through.
recently,
Just
you've got
recently
that
winners.
flavor in the locker room
Yeah,
again. Yeah.
This is the EST Hangout presented by Two Hoots Hard Iced Tea. Matt Iwanyk, Lieutenant Eric, Scott Laurie with you here as we are previewing the Euros, and we'll get to Copa America and Canada. Hey, look, Oilers haven't played for 2 days. They don't play till tomorrow. This is the only. We weren't gonna do
Is
this
this or a draft?
Well, we can't do it. Well, it's not the
I know,
draft.
I'm just joking.
We're not doing it tomorrow because it is game day, and then the tournament starts on Friday, and we got to recap the Oilers game from tomorrow. So this is the perfect day to do this. Group C: England, Denmark, Slovenia, Serbia. You've already mentioned England and Serbia not having the alcohol sales.
should be an
Being a little
interesting
worried
watch,
about that
eh?
one.
Yeah.
It starts on, I believe that would be Sunday. Slovenia, Denmark, Serbia, England. Is this England's to lose?
The group?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd wager so. Yeah. I have no. That's the thing about England is I'm fully confident in them when it comes to kind of earlier stage play and everything such as that. I mean, it's when the pressure really hits that they tend to fold. A team littered with talent. I don't think we need to. If Southgate plays Trent Alexander-Arnold in midfield, they'll be cooking. In my humble
And
opinion,
that's
I know
what they've announced that's what's
should.
going to happen.
Yeah.
a little bias from me as he's a Liverpool defender / midfielder, but I think he opens things up in a gargantuan way that would really help them. Like pressure. I think, of course, Southgate. Might take the United job if he. I'm just joking.
Ten Hag staying,
He's
baby.
back. Yeah.
He's
Yeah, it's
in.
done.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
done,
But yeah, they lost to the final against your Italian side last tournament.
Well,
and
Southgate, I know all English fans don't exactly like him, but he's gotten some good results.
English
for
fans don't like anything, and I think that's always the problem with
There's
England.
always someone better.
There's always infighting, and it's too partisan. There's the club before country when it comes to
Exactly.
England, and in these tournaments they have a definite problem. All the talent, but bringing it all together and all being one is an issue.
Semi-finalist World Cup of 18,
Yep.
finalists of 20 Euros,
Yep. At
and
home.
then at home they were supposed to come home, didn't. Italy took it. It's coming to Rome, as Bonucci would say, and then in the last World Cup. They lost a close match to France. Like it came down late. Harry Kane misses a penalty.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how much more Southgate could have fully gotten from them.
Oh, I know.
But I also understand that okay, maybe it's time. Okay, he might not be able to get that extra from them. That little bit more that
He's
they
done all they
need.
could.
So-
A Herdman type of thing in the sense where you've taken them as far as you can go.
Except better.
Yeah. Different
terms of
scales and
tax.
levels here. Yeah, I get that, but also
and
with
then they've got Menu in mid, which
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I'm very impressed that they brought
have
him.
youth.
Yeah.
They've got some
Experience.
Youth.
Trying, yeah.
I'm impressed that he's left a couple people at
And
home.
Grealish and Maguire and
Nagelsmann did them in Germany too, and Goretzka. You have to make those
you got to make
decisions.
those hard
Rashford.
calls. Rashford.
Like they, I think historically they go and grab the guys that they've just known
Yes.
and are play for the big clubs.
Yeah.
But this time he went and said, okay, Rashford, you didn't have a great season this year. You're not coming.
Yeah.
I think it
that's
shakes
smart.
the locker room up
Yes.
too. And then, okay, we want the best here and only the best. And perhaps, and we're going off this theory that makes so close and so close, maybe they figure it out this time. Who knows? As you said, you get to a place where you're just, in terms of a penalty here or a penalty there, well, can you blame tactics? Can you blame all this other stuff when you're right there at the doorstep? And
England to me is it's them and France in my eyes of the top two teams coming into this tournament.
like overall, just top to
Overall,
bottom.
if I
yeah,
had to
yeah.
go with betting, Colbert
Yeah.
I think has them as number
They're
one
number
betting
one.
favorites.
France too. Yeah.
I think though, like those are the top two. I feel very confident that those two could go on a run and again never know what would happen, but would be in semifinalists.
Yeah.
I don't know what side of the bracket they would fully
Yeah.
be
Well,
on,
if
so I don't know if they'd
threes
have to
and
meet
stuff,
type
yeah.
thing. But so I could see both of them being in the final four because they're just so strong.
They're really good. We talked about how deep and exciting Spain is. England has all of the pieces in every position. For them, the challenge is putting them in the right spots. You talk about Trent Alexander-Arnold, like where do you play him? And I agree, he should be further up the pitch than at the back for me. But it's finding that magical piece for them in the right spots. And when do you give Kane a bit of a break? Do you pull him off and put some fresh? Like when do you do that stuff? And I think that's England's challenge usually. A lot of times they go to what's comfortable. They almost do
keep the right people happy, or
instead of kind of thinking outside and maybe ruffling some feathers on your team to get some guys who are more eager and a little bit more different skill sets. So I think all the pressure's on England for sure in this group, and I think they're going to feel it.
But they can handle it.
But they'll get through it.
They can handle it. As you've mentioned, like this is where
and then it comes.
They're fine.
They'll get through this group.
Yeah,
Denmark, I'm intrigued by them because they'll have great tournament one time, and then the next one they're just absolutely awful.
Your boy will be leading the line, Rasmus.
Boylan's at the front.
Yeah.
They got Eriksson, who scored a goal for them in a friendly.
Pierre-Emerick Højbjerg, the midfielder as well, stapled in there. But yeah, Eriksson.
Schmeichel in net, who had the great Euros a couple tournaments ago. I don't know what to make of them fully because they are so up and down, hit and miss. But like to me, they should be the second team.
I have them coming out second in this group.
I'm excited for Højlund because he's like this is his chance. Like he had a pretty good year for United. I think this year making
decent,
a chance for.
But you would have wanted more of a.
But overall the whole team, there was a lot that went wrong with that team. But he, at least if I go to club United fan, there's a nice mix of a couple of young guys. He's one of them with Garnacho and
for sure
that it's like okay, you could build around these guys. Now let's see what he can do in this bigger stage, where maybe he have a little more of a coming out party. But Denmark, and just when you have a good goalie like they do,
settles everything down. He's experienced.
If you get to a penalties too, that's okay. Well, this is a guy that could go make that one save that's necessary to advance to the next round.
It gives the kicker's confidence. It's that calmness from the root, from the base level, and it just feeds throughout.
Yeah, I think that one's easy. I think those two should. For me, this group is not easy, but it was one of the easier ones to pick the top two teams out of.
England, Denmark is a good one, and I'll probably side with you, boys. I do have a little time for Serbia in Mitrovic as well. I mean, that's a striker who's tough to handle on his worst days.
He's in Saudi now. You wonder about.
He had a pretty good. Well, he had a good season numbers wise, but again, the competition of what he's playing.
How fit are you? How ready are you
100%.
to go up against these?
And I think he did have at times at Fulham. He did have like fitness issues here or there, but a brute of a man and a very like
great player,
dirty kind of like he's a street striker type of deal. And then I again. A faraway glance, but I'm seeing a Jan Oblak there as well. Another keeper whom I don't think we can forget about in terms of
for steadying the back, making the big save.
And who knows?
And been in every situation.
You steal a couple.
He's played
from the keeper.
Everything. So I that's why I kind of called him like my key players. Down my list.
Again, the penmanship, the conciseness, and not too busy.
No,
it's just you're just giving us a little bit.
It's what you need. The key points. What are the numbers on the side?
These are the
FIFA rankings.
So, FIFA rankings, and then the odds, and then
I like that.
I've got one to watch, 1-2W, one to watch.
This is great.
Just some little bit.
Who's the one to watch in Italy?
I didn't have one to watch in Italy because
it doesn't matter then. I guess Italy doesn't.
They're all to watch.
I had Donnarumma as a caller again. Like two guys and a goalie. We should, I think I think Donnarumma.
Two guys and a keeper.
Two guys and a keeper. But I have a young team for them. That was my kind of side note with Italy, that they could possibly be bringing a bunch of these young guys through. Was kind of my note for them.
Back to Italy, actually, quickly. They always seem to win like big tournaments of youth. Like they just won, I think, the Euros under 17. And it never seems to translate to the next level, to the senior team. Like if you go to the history of what you
happens in that development.
There's something missing from the under 19s and under 17s where they dominate Europe or do really well, and then we get to the men's and it's like, oh, we're still waiting for that next big young star.
It's probably it's a depth issue. You're in a way, it's a problem. You're too deep. So those young kids that are playing together as a group and they come through and play everything together. The club's not as important, right? Country's more important to the kids. Then they try and crack this big team, but then they obviously then they get sidetracked into their club team. Sidetracked's the wrong word, but the club
priorities
system takes over, right? Because now you got to try and make some money and be in that big club. That those kids kind of lose track of each other to get into the big team. And how do you get rid of some of those big team players when they're fantastic? So I think that's a big soccer world problem, right? Like England will have the same issues. Italy's got the same issues.
Germany had the issue. You sometimes stick with guys way too long.
When do the kids come in?
Got to go. Hey, well, Canada, we talked about with like Boreon for the longest time.
Oh, God.
There's a point.
Get
You need to
him-
move on. You need to get to the next guy.
Exactly.
Great. Thanks for everything. Thanks
get
for
more
your
Koenig.
service.
How
Let's
about
get-
Crepeau
let's get
against
more
France?
I know. Crepeau's
I
the
know
guy.
we'll get to that.
Crepeau's the
What
guy.
a save.
More
Okay,
Koenig.
so Group C, England. We all have England.
Yeah.
Number 2, because I'm going Denmark.
I have Denmark.
I had Denmark too, but I have some time for Serbia.
Yep.
Group D, France, Austria, Netherlands, Poland. Starts with Poland, Netherlands, and Austria. France. Poland without Lewandowski at least for one match.
That's big.
I'm truthfully going to be stunned if he plays much of this tournament. And after that, and if he is, he's not going to be Lewandowski.
Yeah, no.
That France Netherlands, it's June 21st. That's going to be a big one because
Great game.
that's the group.
That's
right
the
there.
1-2. They're 1-2. Whoever
Has to
wins
be.
that game. Yeah, for sure.
Although Austria and Ralph Ragnick and his pressing.
Sabitzer.
And they've had a nice little resurgence under Ralph Rangnick.
And the Dutch, too, sometimes don't live up to everything that we like to say on paper or in terms of pre-tournament prognostications or whatever. So there could be room there. I'll
100%.
give a little room for Austria, but
Yep.
you're right, boys. I think it should be France and Netherlands. Everyone to slot them 1-2 or whatever. But I got a little time for Austria, to be honest, in how they play.
You know what? Their first match was against France.
Well,
And,
bring
like,
it on.
that would be a
Yeah.
fun one. That is going to be fun to watch because it's like there's a belief with the Austrian team. They've had a great turnaround. There are people, their country, a lot of people just throw away. Ralph Rangnick's not been thought of doing much. He goes there
In the
and
media,
they're-
but
they've
people-
saved-
yeah,
and he
players
knows
respect
that
him, though.
area.
Yeah.
And he's known the system. He's known those players. So
Yeah.
it's actually worked out really perfectly. How did they qualify?
I'm sure they're not thrilled about the France result against Canada.
'Cause
You know,
France-
Wow, that, yeah.
Because France is going, France is getting a lot of heat, I'm sure.
Or the flip is there's a little playbook for Ralph Rangnick
Yeah.
to be like, oh, okay, this is
That's
how
how you do
Canada
it.
did. We're better than Canada.
And I think
We could go do this.
Rangnick's not going to come in scared. He will go into all these games thinking that they should and could win. I love
So
that.
finished second in their group to qualify. They were 6-1-1. They were in a group with Belgium, Sweden, Azerbaijan, and Estonia. They lost to Belgium 3-2, and their draw was to Belgium 1-1. I think that's, if I'm reading this correctly, that was in Belgium. They drew and lost at home 3-2. So, they're not going to be scared at all
Nope.
of France and Netherlands. You mentioned Spitzer.
Sabitzer, yeah, Marcel.
Sabitzer. He's had a great year with Dortmund.
Dortmund.
Yeah.
Like United passed on him. He then ended up at Dortmund, and they go to the Champions League final.
And Nicholas Füllkrug, who's striker and will be featured for Germany as well. Like, this is a lot of... You think of these tournaments, Europa League, Champions League, everything coming to an end. A lot of those guys, and you mentioned the guy from Atlanta as well. I mean, going this far in those tournaments and then starting this in a week or two time, you're still off that
they
championship
are.
buzz or that experience. So
Meaningful wins, meaningful matches.
meaningful matches, and again the big stage. So Sabitzer, I mean, he's been around, but that's a country that's got some talent on it, and with Rangnick pushing the buttons and having that no fear factor, huh? Dare to dream.
I mean, I have them coming out as one of those third place wild
That
card
could be a
teams
good
for
shout.
sure.
Yeah.
And again, no one wanted to go anywhere near them.
Netherlands is one that I'm buying into them for some reason in this tournament.
I always do.
I
have to.
but it's one of
sexy
those
not to.
at the end I know not to pick them.
Yeah.
At the end I know they're
What
going
was
to
I doing?
flame out in the semi.
Yeah.
No, like in the semis,
Oh,
like,
yeah, yeah.
it's going
You
to
know,
be.
yeah.
I'm not taking them to get to the final. I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
taking them to win this.
No.
I'm not going to be that crazy
Group
with Netherlands.
darlings, though.
But a group, the team that I'm going to be like, hey, they're to me one of the top teams of this. They have a lot of talent. I think Ronald Koeman,
Yeah.
the manager, second stint with them, he's going to come out and he has them playing in the right way. He's got the talent there, and there is a little bit of resurgence in the Netherlands. They haven't had exactly great tournaments the last number of times. So I like the confidence that might be coming from the Dutch. Hey, look what they did to Canada to a degree, and I don't want to be like, Canada's this great, but they could turn it on when they need to. But at some point they're going to flame out because that's what the Dutch
That's what they do.
That's the DNA thing. Real Madrid has the DNA of winning a Champions League. They will get to the final and they will win it somehow. Netherlands are one of those teams that will do great. They'll do things. They'll go far.
Be excited. They'll score an amazing goal. They'll be the goal of the tournament will come
But
from their group
sure,
stage,
They'll
right?
screw it up somehow.
Ronald Koeman doesn't convince me at all in the slightest either, boys. I'd rather have Ralph Rangnick managing my nation, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And the way he sets up, the way he plays, and the way he goes after things. Koeman just doesn't inspire a lot of confidence and forward thinking in me. Having said that, though, great lineup, top to bottom, great play. I mean, individuals, great attacking numbers, like great names in the attack, great back line who can put the ball in the net too if need be. So lots of talent, but the direction I kind of feel a little rudderless in Ronald Koeman.
A couple comments in the nasty chat. Vera Montenegro, let's go orange.
The orange.
Abutski saying, good you're not sleeping on Austria, boys. Always trust an Austrian named Ralph or Ralph. So with the two spellings of that. What else? Also, Raider Jesse is he's posted on Twitter. He's DM'd it to me, I think. So I'll have to post it up after I'm trying to find the actual thing. He's putting up a pool for I don't know if it's Euros and Copa or just Euros. I made a Euro pick'em pool. If anyone wants to join, so I'll tweet that out as well. But check out Raider Jesse's Twitter account. I think it's just @Raider Jesse. And he's got that pool up there. So, okay, France, Austria, Netherlands, Poland. The order?
One of France or Netherlands. I don't care. 1, 2, and then Austria in that third.
Me too. I have France winning the group.
I had France up there. I have to double check everything I have. I'll open that up after. But because we get to the thirds and it's just knowing the brackets and you don't know where they slot. And
It's two. It's a mess.
You know, yeah. Like,
but it's the numbers.
I know.
Because you go to 24.
I know.
And I'm not ready to go for 32.
Oh, God.
No.
I was worried about 24, and it's worked out. I don't want 32 nations.
Well,
I
when
think
Greenland gets... Oh, no, Greenland will be CONCACAF.
We'll be in Gold Cup. We'll have the Gold Cup with it. Hernan Salas is texting me going, no Copa talk with a wink face. Don't worry. It's coming after the Euros. Well, we're into
on the
Group
other side
E.
of the page.
There's only there's only 2 more groups of the Euros. Then we get out to the knockout, and then we get to Copa America, which is only 4 groups, I believe. So a lot quicker to get to on that one. Belgium, Romania, Slovakia, Ukraine. This is an easy one for Belgium. They should absolutely roll this.
With their Tintin uniforms, hey?
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, it should be. And again, much like some of the other countries we talked about, I love them in the group. Past that, kind of a bit of a wild card in a sense.
And their golden generation's done.
We're
past the golden
But
generation.
they got a lot
of
of new golden, which I would argue may even be. I mean, who knows yet?
This
but
could be the tournament for them to really come through.
it's kind of a flop generation. Would you not argue? The last, like, I mean,
It was a major flop.
good to watch and fun on their day.
They
but
never, I think a Final Four is the furthest they got. But they constantly, every time they were ranked, because World Cup rankings are so messed though, but they were always ranked number 1 in the world or number 2 in the world.
Yeah.
And they never accomplished
three right now.
Lukaku and De Bruyne were doing what they did at clubs, and it just kind of.
They never got it done.
And Lukaku still led the team in goals in qualifying for them, right? Like,
But I do believe they have that Johan Bakayoko, who's been playing in the Netherlands for PSV or something.
Yep.
He's a young starlet to watch. Obviously, De Bruyne still does what he does. I think, too, in this flop generation, as I said, management was maybe lacking in terms of like.
Oh, they needed to get rid of Roberto Martinez.
a long time.
I mean, he was a
they
lame
should have
duck.
got rid of him after the Euros or something going on.
Like you bring in a mercenary type of we always talk about Ancelotti, man, or whatever. But if you find yourself in that spot with this golden generation, go out and get the guy, whoever it is. I don't care who. How do you pay him?
Pay the man.
Sponsorship, whatever. But you got to get
your MLS clubs or your local clubs to pay and change your national team title.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Roberto Martinez is never getting it done. But I'm still I like Belgium with this transition going from that generation to this next one. I really like some of the young talent that got coming up through the system. You mix that with a De Bruyne and Lukaku.
Who's still really good. He's been around forever, but De Bruyne is still De Bruyne.
Well, you see everything better now, too, when you're older.
He's just slow and calm and just.
But the health is always going to be the thing.
That's always
the fitness of him is always going to be a thing.
Yeah.
And is he fully fit?
I think he's fit enough. Fit enough for the group.
That's why City were off a bit this year too. In his long period out, but
he was long out, and then even they pulled him early in the FA Cup. Maybe they didn't care about the FA Cup, so they didn't need to play him. But
too happy about that.
He didn't have another match to play, so you could have just kept going with him.
Yeah.
Also, looks like he's trying to jump ship like everyone else is at Man City. Because there's talk of Saudi and San Diego and Pep wanting to leave.
Now they want to take down the Premier League. You know, like,
everyone wants to leave City. But yeah, with this group, it's just too easy for Belgium. Like, and you got Ukraine in there, and as a Ukrainian, I'm very excited. There's a lot of other emotions that's going to be riding with the Ukrainians. You know,
for sure.
They haven't played a home game.
No home games
in a couple of years due to the invasion from Russia. They're playing for their soldiers, and they like. There's a lot of articles being written about just that team and how much this means so much more to them than soccer. It means for the nation and everything like that. That could go one of two ways. That could either put too much pressure on you and you flame out because you've put too much on you, or that's a galvanizing thing where You get out. You go. Yeah, you're not going to be Belgium necessarily, but Romania, Slovakia. You take care of business there. You go to the group. Out of the group.
Who
get
do they
to the
got
knockout,
first?
And
Sorry?
Ukraine hits Romania.
Okay.
Ukraine, Romania, Belgium, Slovakia to start that group. Ukraine gets Belgium in the very last match.
Which is good for them.
And you could go win your first 2 matches, know you're through,
Yep.
and you then don't have to go full out against Belgium. You could.
Well, and Belgium by that point, if they're through already, like De Bruyne, you're not playing probably.
for
De Bruyne
sure,
in the last
West,
game.
yeah.
You know, so there's.
And then you're getting set for group or knockout, I should say. And when at that moment, like, yeah, I could see Ukraine pulling off that upset against someone else just because of how much that's going to mean to them and everything that's going on in their country and how much that matters to them.
And some good talent.
Zinchenko's a good
Caleb
player.
Mudryk.
Yeah.
Yaremchuk isn't even a starter. I don't even think
Nope.
with that team. He's just hasn't been in form as of late. They've got some really good players too, and last Euros they took out Sweden with that late goal. They've actually had some decent success in tournaments.
Yep.
Their very first World Cup in 2006, they got to the quarterfinals and lost to Italy.
And it's not strong the whole way out.
No.
But you go over that roster, and there are some real,
Yeah,
They're
there's
one of
players
those-
in there.
Oh, yeah.
They're one of those countries that, like, a lot of the players, they play together. Because clubs, like, there's only 2 clubs in Ukraine.
Yeah, yeah.
And a lot of those players then just play together. And so you get that chemistry immediately with a bunch of players.
Yeah.
And you're not just putting together a bunch of players from all over. You're grabbing just a lot from the 2 Ukrainian clubs. You grab then the Zinchenkos and the Mudryks and all that. You add them to the team, and that can be a little advantage for those countries sometimes.
It's like Germany with Borussia Dortmund and Bayern
Yes.
Munich in a
Yeah.
sense, where you're grabbing most of the players from those 2 teams. They all know each other.
Anything for Romania, Slovakia?
Romania too have a few good. I'm going to go straight to the. I'm going to go Belgium, Ukraine, Romania for my grouping.
Okay.
I'm not even going to. No offense to the Slovakians listening, but
I have Slovakia coming through in second place in that.
Second,
group. Yeah,
okay.
I do behind Belgium. I think the Ukraine. I have Ukraine coming in 4th spot in that one. I think
you're taking the opposite side where maybe the noise is too much.
I think it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of. There's a lot going on, and it's a lot of pressure, and it's a lot on these players, and I think a lot. We all want to see them do better, and really come through for the country and everything. But I just don't know if this is the time.
Their 2 matches to qualify were playoffs, and it was against Bosnia, then Iceland, or was it Iceland, Bosnia? I forget. They fell down 1-0 in the second half late, and they scored 2 late winners both times to win 2-1 both times. But they were late winners, and it looked like they were gonna lose one of those.
Yeah.
And so it's if you go based on that, now all of a sudden you're going up against the Belgians and these. Yeah, I
not
could see
Bosnia,
them stumble.
yeah.
I could see them stumble, or maybe they've learned from that moment. So, what
It's
did I
tight
have
though.
in that
It's tight
one?
between those other 3.
Which kind of for a
I have
Belgian
Ukraine
fan would be a
as-
little worrying to be. Given we talk about the recent, and I know the group is different than getting out of it, but
Yeah, I had Ukraine second. I go Belgium, Ukraine. I have them figuring it out. But also I'm Ukrainian.
not a
so
strong
I will
Belgium
pick
first.
with them.
I'll say that. I think they finished top of the tree in that group, but not by it's kind
And
of
this is also,
No.
I think, the worst thing for Belgium too, because it might be too easy for them to get out of
well,
that, and they're not
maybe.
ready.
Oh, no.
And then they go
Yeah.
take on Spain or whatever it is in the knockout,
All of a sudden
and
you're
they're
ramped
not
up.
battle tested at all, and they get
they'll
pelted.
finish first of their group, take on a strong second from whatever other and
or a different style of team. I mean, most the Slovakia, Romania, and Ukraine are all going to play a very similar. Not necessarily the creative style.
They're not coming at you or
They're not
anything.
coming
Yeah,
at
yeah.
you, right? So, and then if Belgium then goes against somebody that does create,
Look out.
That's gonna be
You're-
tough. It's a tough adjustment, right? It's
Last group: Portugal, Turkey, Czech, Georgia, Turkey, Georgia, Portugal, Czech Republic. First 2 matches of that on June 18th.
I love this group.
Do you?
I love Turkey in these tournaments, especially the Euros. Not so much, but in the Euro, they always seem to find themselves around. Again, talent, I think, around Georgia. I mentioned Kvaratskhelia from Napoli.
Yeah.
I can't pronounce his name. It's 26 letters long.
Yes.
Great stud talent. Georgia's got nothing. And again, lots of political stuff happening in their country right now,
for
too.
sure.
They may feel a little spurned on to represent the flag and do all that patriotic stuff. We got Czechia, Portugal. Portugal writes its own tale. I don't think we need to. I mean, we could spend a whole hangout going over
Roberto
that roster.
Martinez going to Portugal. Don't like that hire. I'm
Whatever,
not
but
gonna lie.
you should
They're
be.
playing
The
well.
talent should. I know Belgium has
here's
been to the
the
same.
issue.
it'll
but-
carry them through.
They'll get through the group.
Yes.
Here's the issue I have with Portugal. Cristiano Ronaldo is still the focal point of that team. And
you're speaking as United fan, just so
No.
people don't already know. No, but that's the problem, right? Where this focal point of Cristiano Ronaldo needs to be.
Well, it's
And it gets you into a little trouble, right?
Well,
For
we
sure
talked
does.
about Saudi Arabia already. You're not playing against the best competition.
Nope.
And yeah, he did well in qualifyings and stuff. Who did they play in qualifying? I got to double check.
yeah.
Okay, qualifying, they
But then
had
didn't they already-
Slovakia, Luxembourg, Iceland, Bosnia, and Liechtenstein. Like, it wasn't this difficult.
Poor Bosnia, they just
Yeah.
getting all these.
Like, come
But
on.
it's like they have Silva and Bruno
Yeah.
in mid. They've been playing great, and even just the recent
Diogo
friendlies and
Jota.
stuff. There's a lot of great talent there. But when you have Ronaldo out there, it all has to go through Ronaldo.
Absolutely.
They have to.
And he'll cry if it doesn't.
Well, that's the problem too. It's like I was even reading like, wow, they got it. How are Bruno and Silva going to make sure that Ronaldo gets his grand finish? And it's like, well,
He'll be watching.
he should.
can watch
if
the grand finish.
If
from
the
bench.
header's
That's what
not
it should
there
be.
for him, he's going to be all upset.
Yeah.
If they want to play to a different player, no, it's got to go through Ronaldo, and everything now has to go through Ronaldo. And to me, Ronaldo's not a 90-minute player anymore.
No, he's not.
He's a great. I would love him as a substitute in like the 65th
super
minute.
sub.
70th
Absolutely.
minute.
Holy hell.
Late in the
100%.
match, we're putting Ronaldo out there. He's going to give me a great 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And it looked like they were getting to that point at that last World Cup. But Ronaldo, of course, got all pissy, got all pouty, and the manager's gone. He now gets to be the guy in the middle. And that's the thing that's going to kill them. That's the thing that's going to ruin
And
them.
Roberto Martinez, you think he's the strong arm
He's
to
not.
keep that all under? Not a
Exactly. And
chance.
it's- They're going to look great to early on, but then there's going to be the moment where that match, should probably go a different way.
Something's going to happen.
But they have to get it to Ronaldo.
Yeah.
They have to go through Ronaldo, and it's not going to work. And they're going to force things way too much, and that's why Portugal's going to crash and burn in this tournament, is that they haven't gone yet with Ronaldo, and just, he hasn't even himself realized, you want to know something? The best thing for me in this nation is to come on as a sub in the second half. I'll score goals
He's gonna
there.
score.
He'll score
Yeah.
at that moment.
Yeah.
But you guys set things up for me. You guys lay the groundwork for this match, then I'll come out and I'll finish
him
this
off, yeah.
But he has to start. And that's why I don't like Portugal.
There's probably some sort of guaranteed contract clause, too, that he has to play a set amount. And if Roberto doesn't do it, he'll publicly dress him down on the
Oh.
sideline. If I'm a
He'll call
reporter,
him
I'm,
out.
I'm licking my pencil and pen on this
The
because
moment they're
you're just
losing.
waiting. As you said, there's going to be a moment, a sub or something, where he and the camera's going to be on it and his body language is going to be disgusting.
Yeah.
But we like him out of the group.
Yeah.
Easily.
Even,
Absolutely.
even with all that noise,
They'll get through
they're
that.
still super deep.
It's when you go up against the big team.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's when you have to go up against the Netherlands
Yep.
or go up against France or go up against England. And now all of a sudden, it might not be working through Ronaldo. And, okay, well, can you go a different way? Of course not. And is Martinez going to pull off Ronaldo? Like at the right time?
He can't handle all that.
Well,
It's too noisy.
if he needs to, if Ronaldo's not doing it and you need to make that sub and he needs to come off in the 72nd minute, is Martinez going to do it?
I don't know how he
Or is
keeps
he
getting
gonna,
jobs.
otherwise, we're going to see Ronaldo come off and is he going to be all pouty? Is he going to throw the
course
armband
he
down? Is he going to walk straight to the locker room? And then it becomes a distraction for the team. So even if they get through it, now you got this distraction of a pissed off
I know,
Ronaldo.
yeah.
It's a complete difference from a Messi. And he's hurting their country.
You want, again, we go back to, you want him to have enough, the hired gun manager to come on and have enough stones to say, I'd rather you be pissed off coming on in the 72nd minute
Sure.
than pissed off coming off in the 72nd
Yeah.
minute when you got nothing left in the tank and you haven't had anything left in the tank for the last 10 minutes. So, you'd hope that the other teammates might start to say that to him. Like, is there any internal pressure?
They're all too scared of him.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Because he'll again to go to the media and he'll rip you.
Yeah.
It's quite a situation.
But you wonder
like
at this point, do they care? Like everyone's seeing this.
well, there's going to be a day too when people stop caring.
Yeah.
I don't know when that is or how it
that this
happens, but
tournament?
it's maybe right.
Is it
Like
game
maybe
one when he's behind a step.
When he's not in the lineup, the teams are better.
Yeah.
Whether it be Portugal or Manchester United. In the last couple of years,
there's
they're
more of a
better
fluidity to
when
it.
he's
You
not
don't
there.
have to go through him again.
Yes.
I always feel like he's everywhere he goes. There's like this clause. Like I know he pouts and cries.
He
but he
needs
doesn't.
X amount of touches, X amount of passes, and
it's like they're trying to work that for, and it's like why and again having him around is not the end of the world. Super sub whatever, but this forcefulness to
Turkey, Czech Republic, Georgia. You're liking Turkey.
I like Turkey. I like Portugal and Turkey coming out of this one with Czechia, maybe right there nipping.
I have Czechia in second and then Turkey in third, but Turkey's always tough.
That's what I have.
Turkey's
I
always
went with
tough.
that one. So I don't know what you guys remember. I had Germany, Switzerland, Spain, Croatia, England, Denmark, France, Netherlands, Belgium, Ukraine, Portugal, Czechs as 1-2 in their groups. Italy, Scotland, Slovakia, and Turkey. I had Slovakia as a fourth or as a third place coming in through this one. So Not Austria. For
My
me,
picks
one of
might
those
change by later this afternoon.
I had to do these a couple days ago.
Yeah.
And I had to do things, and I had to do the bracket. And I hate the third place thing because I'm like, well, I don't fully know how this
It's
is
tough
all
to pick that.
points
It's tough to
wise
goal
and all that. So
differential.
that's what I had.
And I
there.
went on the app. There's a bracket predictor, which kind of helps get those third place teams
Okay, yeah.
in line. So, but
Well, when you're doing goal differential, then you're almost picking results, and you can't. I mean, what's
well,
how
then
you?
the whole bracket's screwed up because one third place team with a goal difference, it puts them on a different side of the bracket, and then your whole bracket's
Yeah,
kinda
yeah,
thrown
yeah.
off, right?
Yeah.
So it makes it
That
makes
was
it
messed
difficult,
up.
But
Okay, so let's wrap up Euros right away here. Who's your final four of what you could like? That obviously bracket. You're just trying to guess there, but who are your guys' final four? Who's your champion finals, and who's potentially winning this all?
so while you're thinking about it, I have it in front of me for mine. So I've got Germany, Italy, France, England in the semis.
And that's through the bracket
That's through the
plan.
bracket.
So
So
that
this
could be
is
an
a
official
thing.
path. Eh?
That's a path that can happen. And then I've got Germany, France final and I'm going way out on a limb here, I know, but then Germany winning it. I think Germany gets this kind of once Scotland takes them down in game one,
Motivates them.
They start to right the ship and they steamroll.
And you beat the best in a sense.
Exactly.
Everybody's happy.
Exactly, everybody's happy. Everybody's
Saudi
happy.
Arabia beating Argentina in the first World Cup. Saudi Arabia's happy. They
Oh
won.
yeah,
Argentina won it all.
everybody goes away.
I had Spain, Netherlands, France, England in my final four. Spain beating Netherlands, France beating England, with France winning it all. The French have just their run of the last few years and the few tournaments is just ridiculous. They're great. They've got top end talent. When you got Mbappe,
Yeah.
he's going to score goals. He's going to do his thing. So that's how I have it. So I have Italy going out in the quarters. I don't know
too.
to who.
No,
You have
so
them in the
I'm going
semis.
through. Sorry, I haven't
Yeah,
gone
you have them in the
through
semis.
the
But
semis.
I have Spain, Netherlands, France, England. That's where I couldn't pick Netherlands. They'll get caught. Spain will catch
Something's
them,
gonna happen.
and they'll happen. So France, Spain, with France winning is my Euro final prediction.
And my home or Scotland all the way going to the quarters.
I love it.
I got
Sure.
them going out.
Well,
I love it. There you go. Did you guys hear that, boys? I made my predictions. But again, it's soccer. No one cares.
Exactly. That's just it.
You got to find just no with the bracket. You're not gonna fully know.
Okay, well, I'm going to.
Or
And,
even if you want a final two.
no, stay with me here. Final four: England.
Okay.
Final four: England, France, Hungary.
Ooh.
Somebody's got to
Gotta
put
go.
it.
Sandor is
Somebody's
gotta
loving
put
you.
something.
Gotta go.
France, England, Hungary, and Portugal.
Okay.
So you got the home. You're playing down the German.
I just don't. I like Germany, as we said.
Yeah.
I could also see them just. I like Nicholas Füllkrug and what he did this year for club. I don't know if they kind of have that firepower to get them all the way through. I think they should make it out of the group. They'll win a knockout or whatever. But I just don't see them as having that front foot firepower to get through. They'll be Germany. They'll be Die Mannschaft. They'll be frustrated to play. They'll set up good. They'll do all that stuff. But I'm just scared about going forward and in terms of getting goals and potting goals. That you need that deep to make it to the Final Four.
And who wins?
So at Hungary, France, England, and Portugal, I will say France.
Over. Do you have an idea?
Portugal.
Good. Oh, that'd be the rematch of what would that be? The 16 Euros.
Not knowing how it all
Or
lines up, but
should
yeah.
this be 16? I think 16.
It gets messy.
I could also see England making it back to another final two. I will stop with the Hungary talk. I think
if England gets there, they're going to get it done this time.
Yeah?
I think it's that situation.
Here's hoping not.
So that's it for the Euros. That was
That's
our
worst case
We
scenario.
all don't want England.
That's the
Nobody
Euro
wants that to
previews.
happen.
Scott Laurie, Lieutenant Eric Matt Iwanyk with the year on the EST Hangout presented by Two Hoots, live on EdmontonSports.com. Tune in, iHeartRadio, as well as on YouTube. We're flipping
The paper has been
We will
flipped.
get ready for we're Copa America coming up. It features Canada, so we're talking about your country. Quickly want to qualify someone for the $100,000 hole-in-one, which is presented by Golf Town. Swing big this Father's Day and find dad or even yourself a perfect Father's Day gift. Whether he's a seasoned pro dad or just starting out, they've got everything you need: apparel, accessories, tech, everything that you want. And even if you can't decide, or if you know dad is very picky, get that Golf Town gift card. It is a great gift card to give on Father's Day. This Father's Day, give the gift of golf. Visit them in store or at golftown.com for more details. The keyword to text in right now to 780-218-9999. It's sharp. Sharp. To 780-218-9999, and you'll go into a draw for this. Elena Sharp, she is a Canadian golfer, so that's where the Sharp comes from. You'll go into a draw. You'll be potentially the qualifier for the Hangout today. You'll go into the draw tomorrow morning on the morning show. We'll pick one of the qualifiers from today. That will be an official contestant, swinging potentially for $100,000 at the ranch on July 3rd, 7 in the morning. Hole 17, 180 yards out. Sharp. 780-218-9999 is what you want to text in right now. And also a reminder, Oilers tomorrow. So GCL Diesel Ulstrom pregame show 4:30. Friday at 6 o'clock. Myself, Jay Milne, will be at Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge just off Fort Road for the Green and Gold kickoff and post-game shows as the Elks are taking on the Alouettes. If you're going to the game, it is the Tanner Green Day Friday against the Owls. Get your tickets for your chance to see Green Day in Montreal this August. Go to goelks.com for more information on that. You could also get your tickets at goelks.com, but a chance to go see Green Day. We all saw the great halftime show last year. Who wouldn't want to see him at Osheaga out in Montreal? So you can go watch the Elks take on the Owls. You also have a chance to win a trip to go see Green Day. And Lieutenant Eric's got the green and gold EST hat that we have
bought
right
it
now.
today.
We've got like
Full price.
We've got like no, it wasn't full price. You got a discount. 6 left, I think. I think I have 6 or 7 left, so not a lot. If you want one, Matt at EdmontonSportsTalk.com is how you get in touch.
Great
with me
fit
for
these
that
hats
one.
too.
Look sharp.
Like they're just a great. Some hats, brands and everything. These are just a good fit.
The Hive Product Marketing. Official merch partner of Edmonton Sports Talk. We get Scott jumping in there on that. So I've been working a lot with Chelsea on things for that. Just want to quickly see if I'm missing in the nasty chat. Fred saying England-France final with England finally getting it done.
Boo.
Awful. None of us could live with
Duck
that.
Dad, looking forward to Copa preview next week. There's a Copa preview next week, right? No, Duck Dad. It's right now. Scott flipped over his sheet because we're doing Copa America now. We've got 40 minutes left in this show, which is perfect amount of time to go through the 4 groups of Copa America, which does feature Canada. Canada is in the Copa America. For those that don't know what Copa America is, quickly, the Euros, I think most people know what the Euros are. Copa America is the similar style tournament for South America. Historically, it's been 12 nations, so it'd be the 10 South American nations, plus they would invite 2 other nations. One year, Canada got the invite, and then we had to turn it down. I can't remember why, but there usually is 12. This year, through a partnership with CONCACAF, which is the North American region, 6 North Americans are joining, nations are joining the 10 South American nations in a tournament that will be hosted in the U.S. starting next Thursday, which kicks off with Argentina and Canada. So it is the Euros of South America that Canada is going to be a part of. It's a very different soccer. South American soccer and European soccer,
Different games.
A lot tougher, a lot greasier, a lot dirtier. It's
The Florida Panthers of global
grinding.
football.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's gritty.
If you go watching from all afternoon Euros and then you go watch Copa America that day, you will see the big difference between the two styles of soccer. But Canada needs this.
Yes.
If we're preparing for a World Cup
Sure.
in 2026, it's about time we took on some South Americans.
Go
'Cause I
through the
think-
heavy bag.
Yes.
Yeah.
And get through this and build some toughness through that, build that dirtiness through it a little bit. And that's what this tournament really is for. It'd be great if Canada could do a little bit of a run. I've got a bold prediction on this one. But this is all
Dusty's
about,
losing his mind.
this
in
is
the
probably
other.
what, again, soccer
Just a
doesn't
prediction. Hey, bold one at that.
Soccer doesn't matter, Scott. No one cares. This is all about 2026. We got a new manager, Canada,
Yeah.
and Jesse Marsh. We had a 4-0 loss to Netherlands in a friendly. We had a 0-0 draw against France just recently on Sunday. The French media were saying Canada deserved to win that match. I was looking at their starters compared to projected starters for the Euros. France had about, I think, 8 of the 11 starters start.
They
in
had to
that
bring
match.
on Mbappe.
And they brought on
They had to
Mbappe.
bring that's the thing. They
was
had to bring him
That's
on.
a respect piece.
Right?
There
It
was
is,
a
it is.
legit team that Canada went against on Sunday, and they went toe-to-toe, and it was only the second match of the new manager, Jesse Marsh. The group for Copa America, which will start next Thursday, Argentina, Canada, Peru, Chile. Let's just look at Canada quickly here, because that is ours. 2022 World Cup. It was a great run to get to the World Cup, and then a very tough World Cup.
Lessons
Big
learned.
stage.
You'd
Yeah,
hope.
it was the lights were a little too bright.
And then, but we haven't seen any real good positive signs from the men's national team since, until Sunday.
Yeah.
And now it's like there's a little bit extra jump in everyone's step, I think, when it comes to this men's national
I'd
team.
argue individually, most of the players for club have been shining through and doing their part, and I mean, in terms of health,
Yeah.
There's no real big concerns in any of this. You mentioned Jesse Marsh, now the new manager. I think he's very clear in what he wants to communicate. It is early days, but it's funny. I mean, we were all saying, the Netherlands result, big deal, it's a friendly. Then the France result, also a friendly. Oh boy, this is. But again, it was the final one, and it's the one for France leading into their tournament too. And you kind of want to be firing on some sort of cylinder on that final friendly, and then bringing on Mbappe. Look, Crepeau made some great saves in that game to deny. I think Griezmann on one, Mbappe. Liam Miller hitting the bar. Things could have went a lot differently. Very encouraging there. So I think they're heading into this with, again, hopefully lessons learned from the World Cup. Herdman's not around anymore. We appreciate and loved what he did, but the time
he was
up.
necessary.
Yeah.
He was necessary for the time to build the confidence in the players that they can go win.
It is now
that
coming
they
on.
know that, when you go up against Mexico or the U.S., you don't have to be scared. You've got talent. You could go do this. But now it's time to worry about tactics.
Yeah, and we couldn't go into this with Biello. We all knew this. You had to find somebody, and they found somebody.
To me, the best available that they could have got legitimately.
Sure.
I still would have loved Ancelotti.
We all have a dream.
I still am going to hold out hope for Ancelotti, although I might have to hold out hope for Italy for him. Maybe that's the next spot. But I think you got a guy who has European pedigree.
Yeah.
He saved Leeds from a relegation. That's not
Big
easy.
stages
He's been in the
on.
Premier League. Now, he wasn't good the next year, but national and club are very different.
Yeah.
And we got a talented manager, and who also doesn't want to just park the bus.
He took an RB
doesn't
Salzburg
wanna
team
play-
at Anfield and beat Liverpool. He has done things with. He's done a lot with less in the past.
And Americans want him.
Americans
he's an
want
American.
like, for sure.
Well, the Americans the other night too got a bit of a
they got smoked.
rude
Yes.
awakening as well.
And there's a lot of talk because their manager,
Bearhalter, was
he
it?
should have been out after the last World Cup, but his contract ran out. They were looking for a new manager. Then they just re-signed him.
Yeah.
And Americans were mad because they wanted Jesse Marsh. And Jesse Marsh was mad because he interviewed and he didn't get the
Didn't get a
job.
job.
And there was a little frustration there. But when that big loss that they had, was it against Ecuador or was it Uruguay?
Ecuador.
Was it Ecuador? It was one where people were like, should have been Jesse Marsh. That's who Canada got as the manager, is the one that the Americans are now saying we should have him. So
I mean, you're
we
looking
got
at
a solid
evolving.
manager.
It's steps above Herdman, and that's what you wanted. You want to move on
Yes.
from that because Herdman took. And again, I think
Well,
Marsh
I think-
a lot more level-headedness in dealing with these positions he's had in the past.
I think right off the bat, you immediately go from, we saw the 4-0 loss to Netherlands, and he's trying different things in his first match.
Yeah.
And immediately get a 0-0 against France.
Yeah.
There's immediately, he's doing different things, which I don't think Herdman ever did. Herdman was very much in the 50th minute, I'm going to make this change. And he planned out his match.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much he ever veered away from his plan during a match.
Because he never had to either in his experience. Marsh is.
And you need someone who's going to, obviously you go into a match with a plan, but, we're down 1-0 all of a sudden. Okay,
How do you
I
pivot?
got to
Yeah.
change it from this. Oh, okay, this way we're playing is not working. Let's shift to this thing. And I don't think Herdman ever really had that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you can really blame the players necessarily from the kind of being rudderless for a while. They really, because they didn't know who was going to run the team. They didn't know who was going to be taking the lead. I think, like I said, Herdman was perfect for what they needed.
It didn't pour
motivational-
Biello in that position for so
It
long. You're
was-
you're a lame duck. The players
Exactly.
know you're not.
Players
So it's what are you
know-
doing? Are you listening to him? Or?
Well, did they know he was a lame duck? Because I didn't know he was a lame duck. At one point, I was thinking they're just going to hire him.
But
Yeah,
But
but even
if they did that too, it would be a mission of failure.
Exactly.
And how would that signal to the players? So you can't go from Herdman to Biello and stand pat.
No. So I mean, the Marsh thing I think is really the X factor, maybe the wrong way, but it's really, we don't know what to expect from their tactics. We don't know how they're going to play, and I think that's the exciting part for Canada. They've got lots of talent. They've got lots of young guys that are, like you said, playing well for club.
And you mentioned Ishmael Kone, who is attracting a lot of attention abroad.
Kone's the
he
real
can't be
deal.
at Watford anymore.
Oh no, he's
He
got
needs
to
to
grow in
go
that
somewhere
world.
else.
He's got to
Totally,
go somewhere
totally,
else.
yeah.
And I feel like some of those guys are going to come through, and they're going to really blend well with what Canada has already. Like the Tejan Buchanan is playing really well too, right?
And you mentioned
David started picking it up with his goals
now
as
he's
of late.
not injured, right? Like so he's kind of getting back into form.
You
There's
mentioned
one of the-
we don't know what Marsh will do, but better than the Herdman and Biello. Like
Yeah.
this is.
Hey, there was one of the soccer magazines I was reading. The one guy picked Jonathan David to be the Golden Boot for the tournament. Just think, because
You could definitely see
he was
that.
like Peru and Chile are two throughout their qualifying and stuff of World Cups and things like that. They give up a lot of goals, and he thought things like with the form David's in these first couple of matches in this group stage, like that there's chances for him to pick up some goals. And like it is impressive how many good Canadians we have playing over in Europe.
Yeah.
We talked about it in 22, but like he didn't play a lot, but Tejan Buchanan, part of the champion of Italy in Inter. You know, there's that. And Alphonso Davies, like he scored that great goal against Real Madrid. And now he's going to be staying at Bayern a little bit, which I'm not gonna lie. I would love to see an Edmontonian be playing for Real Madrid because that
amazing.
story is just so
The new
absurd.
The new Galacticos.
Like but we've got some really high end talent now, and I also love that they're playing Argentina to start.
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
Because it's get that over with, and Argentina's known to stumble to start.
Saudi Arabia.
That's the thing.
Hey, and it's group stage 1. They don't need to come out firing for this in their back of their minds.
And if you're thinking of this from an Argentinian perspective, you're looking at this group, you're probably thinking Canada's the fourth of the group. It's Peru, Chile, Canada, I would think, or in like Peru, Chile in the middle there. But like I think if you're looking at if you had to rank them, Canada's that fourth. So if there's like I don't know, I think they're kind of they maybe look ahead.
They look past.
They look a little past, and maybe the French draw changes their minds a little bit. But this is where non-soccer fans won't understand this fully. A 1-0 defeat is such a win for Canada. If that's what they can
Keep the goal differential on par.
Down.
Yeah,
for sure.
I don't think we're going to see a win against Argentina. I think a draw would be unbelievable.
That'd be great to kick off the
amazing.
tournament. Oh, yeah.
But if they could get just a close loss, keep your goal differential as close to 0 as you can. I think that goes so well to then potentially having Peru and Chile and getting out of that group because it's probably to me going to come down to the goal differential between what they do between them, Peru, and Chile.
Take your lump, just don't have it too big.
I think Canada needs that confidence builder to again because the World Cup was a bit of a disappointment.
Yeah,
and I think they need that to say we do belong on these big stages. This is a big stage.
Yes,
like this is a big tournament. This is a big tournament against really good teams and really good players. If they can show that they kind of belong here in a 1-0 loss, that's close, that's tactically we're on par with them and not getting run off the pitch. Then I think that bodes well for Canada against Peru and Chile, who are also going to be tough matches. But I think Canada can come through this group.
Yep,
I think Argentina is the one for sure. But I think Canada can slot into that second spot.
And I always love just starting off with the toughest team.
Yeah,
especially in a group like this, where the other two beside you are you can see on an equal.
Well, and the ELO rankings is what some people consider the best World Cup rankings because it's more accurate to more what's happened recently. Peru's 34, Chile's 39, Canada's 40. So they're all right there.
You're there
together. And the fact that you don't have to, if you lose to Argentina, okay, though that, I don't have to play Argentina later to get points. Canada, you need points to get out. You're knowing that it's Peru and Chile. As opposed to if you're Peru, Chile, if you drop that first match against each other, and you have to still go against Argentina at some point. Yeah. You still have to go up against them. So now that Canada match is the match that matters.
And you've just seen Canada draw Argentina or something in that scenario, and you're like, whoa, now these...
And look, if Canada also it's just that 1-0, I think Argentina could go win 2 against the other ones. And there's that slow build to start a tournament because as much as you want to play friendlies, it's still not worth the 3 points.
No.
And once it matters, teams are a little bit different. So there's going to be rust that needs to be shaken off, and that's where maybe Canada could catch Argentina a little bit.
But you have the caginess as well, and not if you're not going to win it, just
keep it close.
And look, we almost
no harm in that.
Nope.
We almost
no holding your head
Belgium
down.
in the World Cup.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was a 1-0 loss.
Yes.
Davies missing the penalty. It could have been a draw, but it was also only 1-0.
Yeah.
They kept it tight. Now, it didn't go well against Croatia.
Well,
but that's the lessons hopefully they learn moving forward is you keep this one tight. You then set yourself in a really good spot then when you take on Peru and Chile.
You just need to get out of the group.
Yeah.
I think we overthink this a lot. However you get out of the group, I don't care how. You just need to get out of there somehow, and away you go.
It's very similar to the Scotland-Germany. It's a very similar conversation. Right?
Yeah.
I think they're almost identical in terms of why this is good for my teams, Scotland and Canada.
And I will say, just to goaltending, Maxime Crepeau looks great. Yep. It's long overdue he's the starter.
Yep.
St. Clair.
I
like St. Clair
half the competition. I don't mind
for sure.
Well,
but anoint Crepeau.
We have a couple of good, and there's a third. I'm forgetting his name.
Yeah,
there's a couple of good Canadian goalies that we have.
No problem.
I'm excited to finally see Crepeau take reins of this.
Yep.
There's a nice little center pairing of Cornelius, and I forgot who the other one was. I forgot his name. But they've noticed through these friendlies that we actually have a defensive pairing that works well. You add Alistair Johnson on the outside, who's just been
start to cheer for him again. I guess
you can cheer for him now.
But partisanship aside, now for the national team.
Climb he's had over the last few years from Nashville to Montreal to Celtic.
He's played well. He played well.
Yes.
He'll be gone out of Celtic at some point soon, I'm sure.
That's a rise, man.
He was really good.
He's having that rise, and then you have Ishmael Kone, you have Stefan Eustachio in the mid, and then you still have Davies, David, Buchanan. Maybe Larin can get it back going with it. He finds a way to score at the national team.
They're good in attack. They've got midfield both of the present and the future. And you mentioned, I mean, this is a nation too that you could say, oh, they're maybe weak. They'll rely on keeping and goaltending and maybe keeping things tight and boring. With Crépeau back there and the back line that you mentioned as well, they're not outstanding in any part of their game. Defense, midfield, or attack, I don't think, right? But they're good in each of those right now. And if you put it all together in one, like...
To me, Canada is the scariest on the counter, too. When you have the speed of Davies and Buchanan on those wings coming up, and then you have guys like Larin and David who could finish in the middle.
Yeah.
If Canada can get that counter going, that's where they are extremely dangerous. Now, should Davies be up or should he be left back?
I think you just have them all on the left side. Like I think it's a position where whoever you have playing either left back or left wing, an interchangeable type of thing, keep the opposition guessing. I think you give him kind of a free reign rover type of thing, and if he wants to dip in the middle too, or whatever the case, I think he's so talented, and I understand what they do with him at club level.
When you have so much talent,
when you have a lot of options and everything.
They had a hole at one point. They put him in the left back, and he excelled there. So why would you take him out?
But for Canada, and I think given what Canada has to deal with on their roster. I mean, certainly like a very dictated role and understanding, but I think you just let him own that side. If he has to drop back more of a defensive role, given the opposition, you do it. But I think you take the leash off and you let him go, because I think for him too, it's maybe at times frustrating playing for club and not maybe getting into those positions higher up the pitch. I would give him a free rein. And just say, as long as the responsibility is there, you fill the gaps and you have the personnel to kind of fill in, but let the man go.
I think that's the trick. I think I'd rather him start further back. Like I'd like him to start the back, but to do that, you need that center core to cover for him.
Yes,
because I don't want him. I don't want any question. If he sees a gap to go, he's got to go. You need that. Whoever's sitting on that left side in the midfield needs to know to be able to come back to that spot, and the two center backs need to be able to cover him, because I don't want him thinking, should I? It should always be green light.
Millisecond of indecision.
It's always green light.
And if he's doing it, again, you have to have that combo working where the guys are there covering and they know it. So there's no second guessing or need. But if he's unleashed like that, that can be a very, very dangerous. I mean, and it just creates more options in the attack already with the ones we've discussed.
I feel like if you start him in that left side up midfield up higher, he doesn't necessarily always come all the way back. You know what I mean? So he's relying on that left back to cover that spot, whereas I want him to come back and defend, because he can defend. Yeah. He can catch guys coming down that wing and shut that wing down.
He's young enough. He's got the pace.
He's got the pace. So I'd rather him start back there and go forward rather than start in the middle and have to think about coming back. That's
a nice little option though for Jesse Marsh is, even if he plays him up, if Kelsey Canada gets up too, you could always throw him in the left back spot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
and like you're putting one of the best left backs in the world back there. What a nice little option to have. I got 2 Chileans, 2 Bolivians, and a Panama player for my stickers of Copa. I haven't got a Canadian in a long time. I asked Hernan Salas feelings on Chile. He says new coach has them playing real well. Beat Paraguay 3-0 yesterday. They'll get out of the group.
Oof.
So what are you cheering for? Are you cheering for Canada?
So is it Canada?
How old is
Chile?
Gary Medel now?
Cheering for
He's
Canada
also
or
65.
Chile?
By the way, it was Colombia that beat the U.S. 5-1.
It was Colombia?
Colombia,
Okay.
yeah.
Very high on Colombia.
Me too.
Not just the U.S. results, but
I got them coming out of that group too.
Argentina, Canada, Peru, Chile. It's going to be a tough group. Canada getting Argentina. So the Canadian schedule, June 20th, next Thursday, Argentina, Atlanta. I will be there. Then they take on Peru, June 25th in Kansas City. Then Chile, June 29th in Orlando. How does this group play out?
Argentina walk out of it, top, and I'll say Canada at number 2. There are no third place things with the Euro.
Top 2 go.
Just for our listeners and
it's a
viewers.
lot shorter. There's only 4 groups, so it's like immediately you go into the quarterfinals, then it's semis, then it's finals.
Argentina, Canada on goal differential or some sort of.
I have Argentina, Canada as well.
We'll roll through the next couple. Group B, it's Ecuador, Venezuela, Mexico, and Jamaica. Mexico does not look anything close. They haven't looked like Mexico
They're a shadow
in a couple of
years.
Yeah. Jamaica, I think, is they qualified. They did well in qualifying.
They're not good enough.
But Ecuador and Venezuela, those are some good nations.
I think some of these CONCACAF nations too. This will be a realization that it's not CONCACAF anymore. Although they are playing, and I get the locales will be American, but we're not going to.
I think they're just
a rain-soaked pitch or a farmer's field or whatever, where they've
Or
had
top of a mountain.
48 hours to doctor it or that's a different sauce for Jamaica. And you're right, they probably get kind of figured out here in this tournament.
Yeah.
Well, they get Mexico at Energy Stadium, which I think is Houston. So Mexico's going to have a huge following.
Yeah.
And that's the thing; it is a home
And
tournament
it's
for Mexico in a
Really,
sense.
little
really
bit.
is.
Yeah.
More than the U.S. If Mexico
Sure.
and the U.S. would ever meet, which they would only be in the final, that's going to be such a pro-Mexico
Are Mexico
crowd of
games
viewers.
more in the southern kind of southwest type? Or are we...
Mexico's in Houston, in L.A., and in State Farm. Is that, I don't know where State, is that
State Farm.
Arizona?
Well,
That
that's
might be
perfect then
Phoenix.
if that's the case.
I think that might be Phoenix.
all home games totally for Mexico there.
I have Mexico coming in second, only really a large part because this is a home tournament for them.
And maybe arguably a weaker group, boys, in terms of the
Well,
whole tournament.
Venezuela's. I think,
Okay, yeah.
I think Venezuela and Ecuador are the two, and Ecuador for sure. I think is
Ecuador's
is the one.
14 in those ELO rankings as mentioned earlier.
Yeah, I think they're-
Mexico's 23, Venezuela's 33, and am I not seeing Jamaica?
I'm going to rule out Jamaica respectfully.
Yeah, me
in
too.
our
I'm with
conference.
you.
And nothing, but Mexico, I'll say Ecuador and Venezuela. I know we haven't gotten to picks yet, but
That's fine.
I'll race you
Get to your
there.
picks.
Well, that's
I've got Ecuador, Venezuela.
Those my no. I have Ecuador, Mexico on paper, but I said
love that.
they may be on the downswing, and the dark horse is Venezuela. I think that was kind of everything I was kind of looking at. Venezuela could be this team that does some damage.
I think Mexican fans are fuming
They think
at
they're
their club too, and it just hasn't gone well. And almost since that 2022 World Cup qualifying, I'm not saying it's led from Canada, but they just didn't have a great qualifying opportunity.
and we kind of broke
Moved
them up
on
here
from-
too.
that's the thing.
I mean,
Tata
sure.
Martinez had to go. He's now coaching Miami.
Yeah.
But like it's just, and I don't think
they were so
there's
scared.
nothing looking good for them to come back up.
Yeah.
And they were so scary for so long. And there was that guy, I forgot his name now already, that Canada and them were fighting for dual citizenship.
Oh,
He's an Arsenal player. I forgot. But like I don't think there's a lot of great excitement
this
around
could go really
Mexico.
bad for Mexico
Yes.
in terms of the size of these crowds that are going to be pro or anti-Mexico. If they're home.
Well, the
fans
only thing
that-
I'll say
if
this
they put
about
a
the
banner
pressure-
up, the pressure's on them.
They
The
also
home
get-
advantage switches quite quick if you don't
really
perform, right? Like,
I will say this about this, and I'll be intrigued how Copa America handles it. Mexican fans are very much known for the homophobic chant.
Oh, yeah.
And they use it to their advantage in the sense of when their team's not playing well,
Yeah.
they'll start chanting it because what they do is they pause the match.
Yeah.
And it's like almost a timeout for Mexico. And they have to do something different in terms of punishment for this because it's actually, there's a lot of pressure on Mexico. Let's start chanting this homophobic chant,
Yeah.
and we'll pause the match, we'll wait 10 minutes, and allow the team to regroup.
the chanting sucks, but you're gaming the game now.
They're
And,
gaming
like,
the,
they're-
for sure.
and all because all they're doing is we're going to pause this match. You got to start doing something else.
Yeah.
I don't know what that would be, but I'll be fascinated to see how Copa America handles this.
It'll be interesting to see because doing it in CONCACAF is one thing. And
CONCACAF is lawless largely. I mean, again, we go back
It's
to the Jamaican
Wild
pitches.
West.
Yeah, yeah.
It's nonsense a lot of times, right? But now you're in Copa. It's different. You can't. I don't think they'll get away with it if it happens again. Hopefully, it doesn't.
You can't be taking time
It's
out.
going to happen.
That-
Guaranteed.
that's
It's going to happen. Group C: U.S., Bolivia, Panama, Uruguay. They feel so easy for the U.S. and Uruguay in this one. For me, I'm not sold on Panama, and Bolivia's
I want-
nothing. Bolivia's nothing.
I love hate watching the
Apologies
USA.
to-
God, their soccer
Apologies to
just
my two
sucks. I love
Bolivians.
it.
I pulled in my stickers, but they're nothing.
Yeah.
I'm hoping and looking for a big tournament from Darwin Nunez, who
For sure.
I think set a record for posts and bars hit in this Premier League campaign. The guy almost had a touch where you're like scoring from really unusual parts on the pitch, but also missing like the easiest sitters, and you're like, well, why? And then it never stopped. And I just think he had a lot of noise around him at club this season, where I think now I've seen the pictures, I've been reading the reports. He's a guy like most South Americans too. Club is one thing, that's where you make your money, but playing for your country and putting that badge and that jersey on means so much more. And I think he's so much more comfortable in the Uruguayan camp. I think he's had a lot of good tutelage. Their manager, the former Leeds guy, Biello.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think he's been in his ear a lot, talking to him.
Italian.
I'm not so familiar with the rest of the. No, you're right.
Italians are managing. Italians are
You
all
get
over
your
the
due.
place managing. For some, they produce great managers.
Yeah.
But I could see him like he could. He also could not because he's up and down. But I could see him taking a strong arm on this tournament, and like I love Uruguay. The United States, though, man, I that's a coin flip to me because some days they could be on their game. They have the talent to do it. But we've talked about their leadership and management, and that really has been a case that's never been solved.
No.
With whatever iteration of the United States you've seen. They've gone the Klinsmann, like they've gone all these weird routes.
Yeah.
In-house, out of house, doesn't seem to click. So they're at home. Pressure will be on again, too. They started to try to do that supporters group online, which felt like U.S. soccer. Say what you want about Canada. But we're just kind of riding this generation here and being like, okay, cool, it's fun to be here. The USA try, and they try very, very hard, and they spend a lot of money on this stuff.
They've got 300 million people. They should be good at everything.
Exactly.
There's
And this is the one nut they can't crack. They just can't
figure
crack
this
it.
out
So-
and get it done. And it's when you look at the team, how much do they trust their manager right now, and how much are they believing in their manager? And this could all go very wrong. I was just
I think
Gio Reyna, too, is another
they're
thing
a bit
where
of a
it's-
wreck. Like the US,
they are, totally.
They're a dysfunctional.
Yeah.
Like they've got some players.
Sure.
They've got some players. They've got some good talent playing in Europe now. They got some, really, quality players. But they're a wreck.
Yeah.
Marcelo Bielsa.
Yeah.
He's from
Bielsa.
Argentina. Hernan's
Argentina,
mentioned
okay,
that. Hernan also telling me, I asked him cheering for Canada or Chile, and he said, depend who wins. That's good. That's weird. Why not? So here, U.S. is interesting. They get Bolivia first. So that should be 3 points.
Should get that one.
Then they get Panama.
Do you
That's
have the
the big
rankings
one.
for those two nations, by the way?
I could
offhand?
grab
Sorry
those.
to kind of make it.
That's Panama, because if you don't pick up the points against Panama, it's Uruguay. And the only benefit you might have is Uruguay
Uruguay's
might be
already
through.
qualified.
And Panama also a CONCACAF.
They might catch
you
them.
can't lose to your...
You can't.
Like in this
So-
tournament, you can't fall to another CONCACAF in your group.
100%.
Oh.
Well, I think I think as much as we watch the U.S., I think some of these teams want to make sure they put them in their place with the World
Absolutely.
Cup upcoming. Then these guys are already qualified.
And let's just take a political look at South America, and we're getting a little, we're peeling away layers here, but everybody hates the U.S., especially on these two
all over the
continents
place.
here.
All over the
Uruguay is 7th, U.S. is 24th, Panama's 41, Bolivia is 62. Bolivia is the worst nation in this tournament based on the ELO rankings. So Panama could surprise. Panama could catch you. Again, it's single match, and if they both and they end with Bolivia, so that's why that
The U.S. does.
no
Or
Panama.
Okay.
That's why that
Well-
June 27th, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, Panama versus U.S. That's going to be a fun, and there's going to be pressure on the U.S. And
For sure.
if it starts off poor.
I don't like them with pressure,
but-
man.
So
dysfunction.
But also they remind me of England too, though. They'll get through the group. They'll breeze through a group, and then they'll fail. That's when they'll fail. How do you guys have this group?
I
playing
have them
out?
coming through. I have Uruguay in a walk in one, and I have the U.S. coming through in second.
You're going to walk as well. I'll take the U.S. just on the reverse psychology basis, to which I'm picking them to finish second, but they probably won't.
The low tide mentality.
Panama, and Panama, you mentioned and if they don't get out of the group to a CONCACAF team getting through another one
in a tournament in the U.S.
I'm here for it.
Me
I'll buy
too.
a ticket.
Me too.
They're calling Marsh quickly. Hopefully, there's a good outcome, like a hard out.
Well, they'd have to pay all the Canadian Premier League clubs.
like whatever it is.
We could all make like the whole nation. We'd all be getting a check, a dividend check.
I'm very intrigued what his out clause is, and maybe he's so pissed off at the U.S. that he doesn't even care. But I'm sure they'd be calling just
I love
if
it.
Canada goes on a run and they don't.
I was watching
oh
a
my God.
podcast, and the guy who was an American. It was an American podcast, and they went off on the American men's team not securing Marsh, like how they let this guy walk when he was clearly the best candidate.
When we talk about
for their
timing in
job.
sports,
Yeah.
at the time that this program is at, and he was
Ready to go.
like you don't get those chances all the time.
Last group: Colombia, Paraguay, Brazil, Costa Rica. Brazil 3rd in the world. Colombia 5th in the world, and then Paraguay is 42 and Costa Rica is 59.
Group's a no-brainer to me.
This seems like it's just a breeze for those top two.
Yes, 100%. Colombia hasn't lost since March of 22,
I love Colombia.
which I was surprised, and they just smoked the Americans.
I love Colombia. I could see. I know if they had a third country in that group, maybe to give, but I could have easily seen Colombia maybe finishing atop, not by a lot, but maybe pipping
But if it
Brazil
was
out of goal
Uruguay,
differential
Colombia
point.
instead of Uruguay, Brazil,
Something
maybe
such as that.
potentially
Yeah.
Colombia
I'm
game pass.
very high on Colombia right now. Brazil's obviously who they are.
They are.
And that's a DNA type of thing.
It's whether you can catch them kind of sleeping in the group stage. Maybe you get a result, and then they could finish one above them, depending on goal difference. But
So how Copa America works is the top of Group A finishes second of Group B. Second of Group A finishes top of Group B. And so
Argentina
so
take on
the two
Colombia.
sides.
Argentina,
So
Mexico.
Canada can
Oh,
only
I
play
see.
the U.S. in the final or something like that. So based on that, so it'd be Canada. So we had Argentina, Canada, and then whoever was. So Canada would take on whoever you had winning the Group B. Argentina would be taking on whoever had second for Group B. Same with C and D, those who would face. How do you guys see... Let's just go Canada. How do you see Canada doing in this overall? How far do you think they go? Because I'm calling them as semifinalists. I'm going that far. They're playing in a third place match in this. I think if they take out... I'm going that far. I'm pulling up. That's the bold prediction. Canada will be a Final Four, and they'll be in the third place match of this Copa America.
Against Argentina, probably.
They'll lose in the semifinal to Argentina.
Right.
They'll take on Argentina in Group 1 in the first match, whatever will happen. They will get past Peru and Chile in some way. I could see a draw and a win and get through on goal differential. They will then get either Venezuela, Mexico, or Ecuador. Mm-hmm. I think if Canada's through, and based on that result against France, they're going to be feeling really good. They've got talent. I think we beat that nation. I'm really hoping it's Mexico.
Of those
I'm
three
really
nations,
hoping it's Mexico somehow sneaks through.
That's best case
That's
scenario.
the one I think Canada's going to knock out, win that group.
But of those three nations, if they get through the group, those are good three nations to have an option of facing.
But I like that where Canada will be. In theory, then, if they got through their group.
Do you feel too it might be a bridge too far? You get
France.
through the group and it'd be like, "Ooh,
no,
we're here now," and we
I think they'll
need to fail
I
again
think
to make that
this goes back
step.
to the confidence that Herdman has built into them that is there. That now they'll feel good. They'll get that win. They'll take on Argentina in the semi. They'll lose.
Yeah.
But in one match, you never know.
Yeah,
That's the thing I'll hold out for.
It depends.
Maybe you get that one call that goes the other way, and maybe we're in a final. I'm not predicting that far. But I'm predicting Canada Final Four of Copa America. I'll just go.
The route is there.
Argentina's going to take on Brazil. Argentina's going to beat Brazil. It's going to be Brazil versus Uruguay in the semis on that side of the bracket. U.S. is going to be knocked out in the quarters to Brazil. Uruguay's going to beat Colombia, although I could see Colombia potentially doing it. And then Canada's going to lose a third place match to Uruguay or Colombia. That's the way I look at that.
We have very similar. The one side of our bracket is exactly the same. The Uruguay beating Colombia, Brazil beating the U.S., Brazil beating Uruguay. Which if that happens, Brazil Uruguay would be a phenomenal.
It's a hell of a semi right there. Yeah.
But I have Canada going out, so I have Argentina, Mexico on the one side. Argentina just destroying Mexico in that match, and then I have Ecuador beating Canada. But I'm easily convinced. I'd love to be wrong.
No. Sure.
I'm going to go full homer there. I'm going to feel that confidence. And I'm going to say that, this is also at the same time, like, look, I could also see Canada not winning a single match and flaming out in this, right? Like, we saw that in 22. Yeah. Like, I could absolutely see that I'll be so disappointed in this nation. But at the same time, I'm going the other way. I'm going to be confident. I'm going to believe in this group. And I'm going to say we're semifinalists of our first ever Copa America.
Be huge.
Take that,
leading
US.
into World Cup.
And a true Copa America with North and South.
Yeah. Yes.
This is the full.
This is real America.
Right? Yeah.
This is the real Americans.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where you got?
I'm kind of.
And where would you take Canada?
I have Canada coming out of the group, but that's it. Okay. I don't care. Ecuador, Mexico would be one.
Yeah.
If they draw Mexico coming out of the group, I could see that based on and we talk about the state Mexico's in right now, and Canada know they've had their number, albeit here, but I think Canada coming out of the group, and I hear your France stuff with that motivation and what Herdman's done, but I think if they came out of that group, I just feel that would be such a
an arrival for them
point.
And they're done.
It shouldn't be. And again, prove me wrong. I'm all for it. I just have that sense. So I see Canada get onto the group. Unless they play Mexico, unfortunately, that would be as far as they get. I love Argentina on that side, just taking it to the final, mowing down whoever's in their way. Now, I'm going to go with you here. Brazil over USA. Uruguay, Colombia will be interesting as well. We talk about Uruguay, Brazil in a potential semi. I'd say Uruguay, Colombia too in a quarters would be a hell of a match. Mm-hmm. I'm still high on Uruguay for my boy Darwin. I hope he's connecting, and that's what's driving a lot of this. I could see Uruguay taking Brazil in that semi and having a Uruguay-Argentina final.
I would like something different.
Me too.
It would be great. I don't see anyone knocking off Argentina on that side.
That's the thing.
That's I see Argentina getting there.
They are the best team in the world.
They are.
But Colombia, Brazil, Uruguay, that's fascinating.
And this is a really good chance. This is Messi's final Argentinian run. World Cup, maybe.
And you won the World Cup, you win the Copa, and boom.
It could go Copa, World Cup, Copa.
Exactly.
Because they won the last one. Like that Spain run that they had with World Cup, Euro. On the other side, like whether it's Colombia, Uruguay, or Brazil, I actually kind of would like Colombia or Uruguay getting there to be different than the Brazil, Argentina.
Yeah.
So I think it's good for the tournament, honestly. Yes. If there's one of these other teams that kind of does get through,
or maybe Canada gets that final. June 14th. Do you know how hard the Elks play that night against the Red Blacks? Do you know how split I'm going to be watching Red Blacks and Canada in a Copa America final?
It'll probably be raining.
So what happens? You got Canada, Argentina in the first match of the tournament. You could have Canada, Argentina again
in the semi.
You know, so you're laying some foundation work here in that first game.
Boys,
and again, in one match, the calls are likely going to go Argentina's way as opposed to Canada. But what if that one penalty goes the other way and David goes to the spot?
Davies doesn't take it.
Davies goes to the spot or Laren and they put in the back of the net.
This is the Americas, as you led off of this.
Crepeau has that unbelievable match where he's not letting anything pass. The beauty of these tournaments, Euros and Copa,
it's one game.
You sometimes never know what's going to happen.
But the officiating as well, in differentiating between Euros. No, I know, but that's why this tournament's a little different as well. In the greasiness.
It's not CONCACAF bad, but it's still.
It's a different greasy.
But actually, we were born in the darkness. Like playing through CONCACAF, we know.
We're ready for that. We have a qualifying opportunity for the VIP table, Great Outdoors Comedy Festival, July 13th over Kevin Hart. We're going to give this away on Friday, 12th to the 14th. The entire Great Outdoors Comedy Festival at Kingsman Park. GreatOutdoorsComedyFestival.com for information. You could also, if you're there, Alley Cat, the official beer of the Great Outdoors Comedy Festival here in Edmonton, which will feature the 6 o'clocker lager. If you want to get in on this, text us 780-218-9999. Text us how far you think Canada goes. I'll just say that. Do they get out of the group? Do they fail in the group? Do they go to the quarters, semis, win it all? Text us how far Canada's going to go at Copa America. I do need to quickly find, I had the qualifier for Mateo. It ended up being a Mateo in Edmonton. He's the qualifier for the $100,000 hole-in-one contest here on the Hangout today. Next chance coming up during the lock shop. So there it is. We got through it. Jasmine texted in saying, good for you guys to talk soccer, not be afraid of some nasties. I think you're engaging a lot more soccer-loving fans who don't speak up. Actually, there's been a lot of great chats in the nasty majority, chat of people like giving their thoughts on the tournament and throwing out their thoughts on the tournament. So I was looking forward to this for so long. We're only missing one person, Luciano, Hernan's nephew, who is off to work. He was so excited to possibly come, but he had to go to work today. And today's the only day to do it.
And Mr. Sandor as well, if we could have a fifth stool.
Sandor would have been awesome.
Yeah, in the stool in the corner.
I don't think we would have had enough time. It was Sandor talking. None of us would have got anything in, and we would have needed to take over the lock shop. But this was fun. Boys, it starts on Friday. Euros,
exciting.
1 o'clock, Scotland, Germany. Copa America.
All right, let's do it.
Copa America on the 20th, next Thursday, out in Atlanta. Canada, Argentina.
Have a good flight.
That's at 6 o'clock. Thank you. All this is on TSN, so you can watch it all on TSN throughout the tournament. And if you're watching the Hangout for the next 3 weeks or whatever, you will see my laptop here, and I'll be following along because actually I get an hour of no match. So you get me for an hour from 9 till 10. Where I'll be focused, and then 10 o'clock
breaking down the morning match, and then leading up the next one. Yeah.
Well, when Ukraine plays, they play at 7 next Monday or Tuesday. Okay. So I always tell Scott, so I'll wake up, I'll have to shower first, watch first half from home, drive right into work at halftime, get here so I can watch the second half. I'll end at 9, and then I'll set up the Hangout. So I won't know what I'm talking about.
Bear with us.
The full Ukrainian, Romania, or whatever it is, post-game show on the Hangout next week.
This is the summer. If you're on the fence about, just watch it. You're gonna get hooked. Yeah. You're gonna love it.
Head out to the bars. Just pull up a seat, talk to somebody. It's fun. Learn a little bit. Yeah.
Go to the patios.
Oh God,
there's nothing better than the 1 o'clock match or something. The sun is shining. You're just watching. Even if it's not your country.
Doesn't matter.
It's just great soccer. And what's great about these tournaments, it's one game at a time.
Yeah.
There's no 2 games. There's no overlaps. You just focused on one game. It is fantastic.
No commercials.
Except
in the grand sport of soccer. Exactly. Yeah.
So, and we get to watch Canada for a major competition again. It is the beautiful game, but no one cares. No one cares. That's why I can make predictions, because no one cares. Scott, Eric, thanks for doing this.
Thanks for having me.
Yep. Thanks to everyone for tuning in to the EST Hangout presented by 2 Hoots Hard Iced Tea and joining in on the Copa and Euro chat conversation that we had today. Full Oilers coverage tomorrow. Jonathan Torrens on the show. Gager, Gazola, I guess, and myself here on the Hangout. Coming up next, Lock Shop with Dusty and Huss at noon. It is the Oil Stream. Dusty and Tommy Oilers are about to be on the ice in just a couple of minutes, so they'll update you on what's going on at practice. So this was great. This is your clear choice for Edmonton Sports. Edmonton Sports Talk, like I said, Lock Shop coming up in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere. On behalf of Scott, Eric, I'm Matt. Thanks for tuning in, and have a great rest of your day.
Let's go. There you go, right in front of the camera.
First-time guest, long-time listener, fan of the original Draft Commissioner.
Welcome to the EST Hangout presented by White Claw Hard Seltzer. The difference is clear. Matt Iwanyk, Tom Zola with here. Joining us today,